buying pipe, Crimson, Greaves, just that's it. I have no more. They just bully me. They say, why you don't carry us with this? So I'm like, okay, I'll just play like this.
Oh man, Mar getting bullied, that's a shame. All right, I lied, it's not my last question actually. I do want to ask you one more thing. She had a lot to say in the game, but also, do you have anything to say to Cloud9? You know, now that you've eliminated them from the tournament, you know, it's over. Do you have anything to say about the guys you just played against?
I love Cloud9, you know, my former teammates there, and I also stood in with them previously. So yeah, I think they're a good team, and you know, like they just unlucky they get us to face against us, and hope with them like the best in the future.
Amar the Friendly, thank you very, very much. Guys, give it up for Falcons, for Amar, as they move on in the tournament. Thank you very much, and we will send it back to the panel.
Yeah, he's referring, of course, to former Creepwave players. Now, Maureen on his team, also former Creepwave players, and Amar and the rest of Falcons moving forward here in the International. They'll play again later today, and we'll see if it was indeed a spoiler, making it not just to the finals, but also the final day tomorrow. If Falcons can do it again. This game, though, I do want to focus on Amar to start with, Lacoste, because I thought his confidence that we just saw in words was very noticeable in his play as well.
Oh, absolutely. He played out of his mind. He is talking about the auras. Broodmother bought 4 auras in game number 1. In the second game, he did go for, you know, a little bit of fun items. He did pick up the Psychic Headband as his neutral item. Yule Scepter that got him a lot of the kills, a lot of setups for his own spear. Enough times where Dragonite can get in with a Blink Dagger, get a secondary stun as well. He also did buy Ether Lens, Bloodstone. He was having a lot of fun, but, you know, if auras are the items that are super strong right now, that also means they're going to get nerfed, so Mark can go back to his old playstyle.
Yeah, and we're gonna break down this game properly, but we're also gonna not make no one wait, as we will hear some final thoughts, final words from No One, who's standing by with Tyrion.
Yeah, thanks, Sheebs. I'm here with No One. No One, first of all, I think we're all very sorry to see you guys go out of the tournament. Cloud9 made a lot of new fans here, I'm sure, not just the Brazilian ones. But in general, you guys played some great Dota, had some great performances. That must give you confidence in the future.
It is.
Yeah. Fantastic. One of the things I asked a lot of the players here was who they thought one of their best players in the tournament was, and your name came up a lot. It must be nice to hear that.
I mean, it is. Yeah, but in the end we lose, and yeah, there is lots of good players, much better, I believe, right now.
Well, we'll see, but thank you for saying that. So, you guys obviously have done pretty well here at TI. You must be happy with the finish. What are you hoping to do next season?
I mean, right now I want to chill because I gave my best this summer, 3 months of non-stop playing Dota, being in shape, and I'm proud of myself, I'm proud of my team. We have done a great job, and we are tired, I guess. We deserve to chill, and then we'll decide.
You're going to take a well-earned break. Well, I hope we do see more of you again soon, No One. Royal Arena, can we get a round of applause for Cloud9 and No One, please? Thank you. And would you like to say one last word to the Cloud9 fans out there who've been supporting you this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud to be here right now in this moment. I'm so proud to hear this like incredible crowd in front of me. It's like, it's insane. That's what I live for, actually. So thank you all, guys. You're the best.
Thank you, No One. But now back to the panel because the tournament rolls on unstoppably.
Unstoppably, thank you very much, No One and Pyrion, as Cloud9 will end their road here. Top 6 is what they've achieved at the International, which for DM and for No One is the same as their previous results, but at least for Watson, Kataomi and Fishman, they have broken previous records, as they before did not manage to break top 12. Now they've definitely made a large statement and can't wait to see what they do after their well-deserved rest. But we are going to focus in a little bit on the game we just watched, because it was, Tigov, a way closer game than we had of the first one of the series.
It was, for sure. I think Cloud9, they put on a much better showing, but fundamentally, they just still weren't able to get DM into the game. They put the Sank into the offlane, he's getting picked off quite a lot, and Falcons identified the fact that Earth Spirit, sure, he can be a playmaker, but they have the stuns to shut him down. The real X factor will be from the Sanking, the early Bloodstone timing, the epicenters. If he can really make a statement, then Watson with incredible farming pattern will be able to, bring Cloud9 into a winning position. So they shut DM down, and he just didn't. He wasn't able to shine. He ended the game 1-8-7. So yeah, unfortunately, I think that the entire series was Cloud9 not helping DM get into the game, and maybe a little bit of DM not helping himself get into the game. But again, between those things, that was the key takeaway for me.
Yeah, especially pre-pipe. If the Sand King had a better game, he could have done so much damage to Falcon's draft, but they did not allow him to get to that point. But Falcons, man oh man, do they play well behind Skeeter. And Skeeter truly was the hero of the series for me. On his DK, on his blink rushes, he sets all of the tempo for his team. The second he gets that, he's getting pick after pick after pick. They're playing behind him, they're playing the map, they're able to split push. He's finding the goes on Luna. Even when the net worth equalized and Falcons were pressuring that high ground a little bit, he gets the instant blink on Luna, which caught Watson completely off guard, forced his BKB, forced his Eclipse. They disengaged off of that. And I do want to give a special shout out as well to Snake King on that Enchantress. He had BKB, Hurricane Pike, Moonshard. He was dishing out the DPS, ended the game with more damage dealt than his DK actually.
Yeah, it was very impressive to see them run their, as you called it, Lacoste, their bread and butter lineup. We have 2 Grandmasters in this game on the side of Falcons, and the comfort that they have with this playstyle, these heroes, it definitely shows through.
For sure, because you have these 3 beefy boys that are not going to die from 100 to 0. There are no heroes that can instantly kill them. And their team fight execution is the best we've seen so far at the International, I would say. The way they're spreading, not allowing Kataomi to use a big curse. We saw like 2-man curses. They're using the BKBs, also creating chaos. So Kataomi is not having a game at all. He was kind of forced to buy these defensive items. He had a Blink Dagger, was trying to go for a BKB instead of dealing the damage. Quite a difficult game for him. You have these 3 insanely tanky heroes just being in front and not caring because they know they can reset. They can pop these pipes, they can use the Yule Scepter cookie if somebody's getting focused, the Hurricane Pike from Enchantress, and reset multiple times.
I mean, Falcons, it's like you want to respect the Mirana, you need to respect the DK. You have to think about 24-pick Timber Swords, the raids as well. Like, drafting against them, it takes so much time and effort that like only a couple teams can truly break them down, right? Like, they've won so many tournaments in the year, and yeah, unfortunately for Cloud9, they weren't able to break down the kind of predictability of Falcons. But even, you know it's coming, but you still can't beat it.
I will say they did, Effie, go down in their own style with their own flair.
They did, and I love that. And I love that they make statements with their playstyle. The support heroes they pick, they don't feel the need to conform the way that other teams do. And it's always the teams that are not afraid to innovate and not afraid to step outside of the meta that make it very far. We've seen XG have success, for example, with their hero picks that don't work for anybody else. So the future is very bright for C9. Ultimately, though, it's Falcons. They're so good at everything. You forget about Timbersaw. You don't ban it when you're setting up for your Spirit. You ban Sniper plus Huskar instead. Boom, you get Timbersaw.
Yeah. There was a period where before Falcons even existed, when you were playing against Amar, you would always first phase ban the Timbersaw. And now on Falcons, you've got Malrine and Amar, both Timbersaw Grandmasters, both Mars Grandmasters. And it's scary, Lacoste, that they can pull it out here. And even though we thought that during the year these type of heroes were kind of nerfed, so they weren't as strong and they weren't first ban material as much, it's scary that they can just pull it out here and it's just almost unanswered.
Yeah, in the high stake games it doesn't matter as much. Like we've seen meta changing quite a lot from Road to TI with the Sniper being super popular as a position 4. Now you have all these different heroes that they have level 30 on. And we also saw Ame, who's playing his different heroes, his Morta, his Faceless Void, wherever it's necessary to get the dub. So they're not afraid to take on the stage and bring the big guns, and that's what I want to see from the top teams.
Yeah, we're going to see another person who's not afraid to take the stage, as it is Purge that we're heading to.
Thanks, Cheever. I talked this morning a little bit about the mid-matchup and how important it is for this match, and that last pick Timber was super effective due to the fact that it kind of counters just about every hero on the Cloud9 side. And if we take a look at how the lane shaped up at the very beginning, it was basically just Malrine beating on no one and using Whirling Death. And it's very effective against this hero because it's going to lower his temporary strength, which is his base damage, and his HP. And check out this body blocking in a really crucial moment here. No one realizing he's in trouble, he actually plants a tree and it gets cut down instantly by Malrine. So he doesn't have a tango going while he's trying to get back to his tower. This death sets him back a little bit in the laning stage, and then it kind of transitions from there. He basically pulls the creeps away from Malrine whenever possible, uses his skills from long range to secure last hits, because he just can't play in melee range against him. He even had some nice water rune pickups here to help offset this disadvantage, knowing that he was going to get counterpicked with the last pick. I love how he drags the little range creep with, so he can bring it with him to snack on it a little bit later after getting both water runes. And ultimately, this ends up culminating in some big team fights. No one did have some good rotation spot him, but Malrine did the same thing. He got like 5 kills from this point in the game. And it was at this stage that no one was actually pretty tanky, so Falcons focusing on him at the start of the fight and him surviving actually gave them a good setup to win team fights. And as the game progressed, Watson did a great job carrying. He had tons of net worth, lots of kills. But by the end of the game, all they had to do was kill Watson, and then most of the damage for Cloud9 was gone. So I just think C9 had a great game here. They played against a counter matchup, and they did a great job to keep it even for a very, very long time. But ultimately, Falcons is just the better team.
Thank you, Purge. Sometimes it is just the better team that wins, and that was the case here today for Falcons Cloud9. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of Cloud9, but we're definitely going to see a lot more of Falcons, as they are not yet out. They continue their run in the lower bracket, and we can take a look at that bracket because it is quite scary. We now have 5 teams remaining here, T.
Yeah, and the upcoming series, Tundra vs Extreme. You know, coming into the upper bracket, people were excited, you know, the journey of Tundra with the stand-in, and then Gaming, he put them to the lower bracket so quickly. That game 2 was, whoo! And then Extreme, they're finding form. Every single series after beating out Team Spirit, they're getting better, they're getting crisper, they're identifying the meta, they're changing their kind of slightly more clunky play style of the group stage to now be, you know, a slightly higher paced team. So yeah, this series is like Tundra losing some wind, Extreme picking it up. Yeah.
And I do want to address the elephant in the room, which is Cloud9 and Tundra came from the same group in the road to the International, which people argued was the weakest group at that point. They both started in upper bracket. They both got too low in upper bracket. So it's going to be a big question as well for Tundra, whether or not they can cut it with the teams that have been consistently getting top 4 all year.
Yeah, on the bright side for Tundra, the reason Falcons is in this lower bracket, Lacoste, are them.
Yeah, that is true. And if Tundra Esports win against Extreme Gaming, they are going to be facing Falcons, which I think Falcons will be very happy about that one.
They probably will. They probably would love to get some.
Get that rematch, yes.
For sure. We'll see though, because between Tundra and Falcons facing each other, there is one big opponent there in the middle, and that is Extreme Gaming. This is a squad that has made their mark, but they are looking to go further. So it is time for both of these teams to take the stage to determine which one of these teams will become top 4. We got Pure, we got TAPSON, Ramsey, Sexa, Whitemon, and Coach Moon Meander as they walk towards their booth. They are ready to start their run in the lower bracket, only getting knocked down yesterday, but not out, as I'm sure they are ready to fight their formidable opponents in Extreme Gaming. Bracket. Extreme Gaming has already eliminated defending champions Team Spirit. Aurora, can they do the same to Tundra? what it takes. It definitely looked good for them yesterday on this stage, and they are looking to repeat that result as we keep having 2-0s on this main stage. I'm hoping that both these teams in play style will match up nicely against each other. In that regard, Tigov, how would you define the play style that we are about to watch for both these teams going head to head?
I mean, if you want to start from the mid lane, it's going to be the quirkiness of the mid lane. We've already multiple times throughout this TI praised XM on his hero pool, and of course TAPSON, he mirrors it in his own style. Like, both like to play sniper, both play like the weird heroes, but we'll see what happens there. In regards to timing though, I think Tundra should have a better matchup against Extreme due to the fact.
And you mentioned the sniper team. XM is a sniper specialist, but so is TAPSON. And I just wanted to settle the debate, who is the best sniper in the world? So I looked at their career stats with sniper, and XM with 40 total games played has a 72.5% win rate. So this is the sniper player of the tournament, the best sniper player in the world. Just don't give it away to him anymore.
And that's the thing. I think going back to the previous point, like Sniper is a lane winner in certain matchups. I don't think that should really be happening in this series because, you know, Extreme, they like to play a relatively slower game. They're really good at punishing their opponent, but they don't play like Liquid or Gaming where like at 10-15 minutes when they beat their opponent, they keep reminding them. They're like, hi, we're in your jungle, hi, you know, they kind of stabilize it a bit. And that's why Tundra, they got destroyed due to high pace. That's why, of all the series, this probably should be a 3-game one based on their kind of mirroring playstyles to some degree.
Tundra, they got destroyed yesterday. This was their worst showing. They got, I would say, surprised with all the picks that Gaming did have. In this one, I want to see some more aggressiveness. I think the playstyle will be much better matched when it comes down to Extreme Gaming. But Extreme Gaming, I would say, when it comes down to being the most clutch team, we always talk about Team Spirit. They are eliminated. They are the ones who eliminated Team Spirit. It also comes down to their execution. This team, post 30 minutes, their teamfight execution, almost flawless.
I agree entirely. Extreme Gaming is not talked about enough as a comeback team because they've pulled off so many team fights from net worth deficits, from positions that they've created for themselves. So they're not only a team that can be considered good in the mid game and the late game, but they're also good at comebacks, which is why you want to bring more tempo to them than they bring to you. Tundra yesterday showed us, though, that they did suffer a little bit when Pure was shut down. I think for me, the biggest takeaway that I had was when Gaimin were bringing their heroes through the gate and running at Pure's lane, kicking him out of that lane early, Tundra just did not have comfortable play. So if Extreme watched that, that's something to build off of already.
Extreme Gaming, they never put themselves on a timer. We saw a lot of these 4 protect 1 strategies that sometimes fall short when you are unable to execute 30 minutes in. They always have some kind of a backup. Ame's been playing these late game carries, Faceless Void, we've seen Huerta, we've seen Medusa against Team Spirit in game number 3, and also XM, he's playing Sniper, he's playing heroes that are going to scale from the mid lane.
Also, one thing with Extreme is I think they're one of the few teams that morph into their opponent very, very quickly in regards to their drafts. And you know, we're seeing some heroes picked here. You know, the Mars 80% win rate for Tundra, 80% as well for Extreme. But I think mainly on Extreme's hero pool, it changes very quickly based on their opponent. And that is honestly one of my biggest praises. Like against Liquid, they didn't really know what was coming for them, and they get thrown to the lower bracket. And then the 2 series after, like Spirit's a big team fight team, yet they then go for like strong lanes that don't allow them to hit the team fight. Against Aurora, they're a late game team. But then Extreme is only picking big team fight. If you want to go late, we'll out late game you. And the fact that you can see 3 different series, 3 different types of a team, that is testament to the coaching team, to the fact that they are willing to play any style. And I don't think there's many teams left at TI that can go from a late game to a quick, and like they are so versatile.
They really are, and they bring their own creativity as well. We've talked about Ame's confidence in calling for these carry picks. You mentioned the Faceless Void. There's the Muerta that only ever looked good when they played it. But also, there are support bans that you have to consider when you play against Extreme. We saw Tinker getting prioritized in the first phase versus DY. There's also this Tusk that you have to think about, that, or this Marcy for Xingqiu. He makes them look so good. There are just so many routes that XG can take in that first phase.
I think Xingqiu feels the same way Amar feels about the offlane, because what he's building right now are these Vlad, Solar Crest, AC items that he's not really enjoying. These are team items. This is the guy that has been one of the most creative position fours out there with the Baboka. He tends to do his own stuff in the game, but kind of forced in this position. But if it gets the job done, at the end of the day, it's all good.
Would you say that that's the same style that Saxa has as well? Because in terms of those two supports and how they match up with their respective offlaner, I kind of feel with that in mind, Teague, of XXS and Ramses are a little bit, oftentimes, maybe left alone a little bit more.
No, for sure, yeah. I think the way that these teams play it opens up for cores to have, like, you can see in any game, any core on both of these teams can become like the big player of the game. Like Rams can have his offlane game where he's like the Night Stalker, XSS on his like Mars can also step up, and it's because of like the foundations of both teams are so good that at any minute it has those moments. And just to warn you guys, okay, TAPSON, again, creative player, recently, in the last 24 hours, he has played one hero 4 times that I don't think we've seen yet from the mid lane.
Hey, that's not what is it? Don't keep us in suspense. What?
Silencer.
Silent.
He's played 4 mid-game Silencer games. He won all 4 of them, and he's going Gleipnir Rush or Hurricane.
Were they bot games?
No, he's doing stellar. So I'm just warning you. Like, normally how TAPSON operates is he likes a hero, he plays it a lot.
He likes silencing.
And then he goes to his coach, and before back on the OG days, like he's like, pick me up, Warden, I don't care, same logic. We might just randomly see a new hero pop up into this lower bracket game. I was about to say grand finals.
And when we talk about the players who play a lot of Dota, Ame has played 78 matches in the last 8 days, plus also the scrims and also the official matches. And he has some interesting heroes as well that he has played. The Lone Druid that we've seen from Gaming Gladiators yesterday, so that's definitely on the radar. But the big ones that he's been playing is this Huerta that we said multiple times, Spectre that he could possibly bring that out, as we've seen Aurora using that hero to get some dubs as well. But also comparing to Pure, I would say that Pure had some of the best carry performances, some like really clutch moments so far at TI. Also, if we go back to Riyadh Masters, I would say that he has the best carry performance at that tournament as well. He is very aggressive, and what I like about him, he risks. Like, he's going to take a lot of risk when he plays carries, and that's what I want to see on the stage.
Yeah, it's the type of plays where you either feed and everyone goes, oh, that's just a classic pure death at this situation, or it's the game-winning move. And that volatility is something that Tundra has harnessed over time. He has, I think, improved as a player. But yeah, going up against Ame, you always know there's going to be that one moment where he is going to shine.
I will say, when you brought up the Lone Druid, because I did get a little bit of a flashback to yesterday. Because one thing that Tundra struggled with yesterday against Gaming Gladiators was Lone Druid, but then also in combination with a lot of extra heroes that just bring that extra push. We heard them call it the Zoo meta coming out. Moon said we just banned out a bunch of Zoo heroes in the next game to try and remedy that, but at the end of the day, that is something, that amount of push was something that Tundra at that time could not deal with very well.
Oh, they definitely watched that series and saw some, extra holes in the armor that they could potentially exploit. Alchemist, that's the hero that can bring the speed. You talked about the Zoo. XXS, one of his most successful heroes, is Visage, has 80% win rate, plays it extremely well. If they want to play, some Alchemist position 4, whatever it's necessary. DY, he has quite a lot of these position 5 heroes that deal tower damage as well. So they can speed things up, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Extreme Gaming are a team that would full commit to Zoo the way that Gaiman does, but I love the Visage shot out. There's also Enigma that can function as a semi-Zoo hero running down a lane with his Eidolons. You put a Tinker behind him, you're bringing the tempo. Also, back in the day, they lost to Broodmother. I gotta say, back in the day, XXS used to be known as the best Broodmother in the world, so maybe he could just have a re-emergence of this hero at this tournament too.
That could be. You want me to give another case of why the series could be a very even one, Tigov?
Please
they
do.
have faced each other this year, 5 series totally, and it's a very, very nice split in terms of series. 2-1 as in 2 series win for Extreme, 2 series win for Tundra, and 1 tie. It's perfectly balanced.
Yeah, again, like tactically, they feel like relatively the same team, and that's why I don't think Tundra is going to change too much from what they've done so far, but Extreme have already shown that ability to change. Going back to the whole idea of like the Zoo, it would be surprising if any team was suddenly going to the level that gaming's going at. I think that is a very volatile thing to do in the penultimate day of the International, to try and take a Zoo strategy that takes so much time to craft. But I hope that we see a little bit of flair coming from XG and just going back to the foundations of why Tundra is here.
Yeah, and that 4 versus 5 you said, that's their result in games, not in series, which is why those numbers are slightly different. Now, with both of these teams being so nicely even in playstyle, we can expect a lot of them, and we learned a lot about them yesterday as well. There is one big thing that could potentially determine the outcome of the game already, and that is the draft. So let's get going.
Tundra Esports versus Extreme Gaming. Game 1.
Here we go, we got Extreme Gaming starting this series on the Radiant side with first pick. Tundra will start this series on, Tundra starts on the Radiant side with second pick and Extreme with first pick on the Dire side. So basically the way it always is, whoever's Radiant gets overall last pick. And we are in the ban phase already, and in terms of heroes we won't be seeing, I don't think anybody is surprised to see that TAPSON's Invoker is removed from the pool. I do think a lot of people are sad, but look on.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to see it. TAPSON, too good of a player. Two heroes I'm looking in the first phase for Extreme Gaming, Marana and Tusk. Both are still going to be available, so they get to choose which one they want to take.
And Tinker as well.
Tinker as well. The DY's Tinker is really mean. He takes a lot of farm. That's why we see Jin-Q not getting the priority, not getting all of his items that he maybe wants to buy in the game, but they look pretty impressive every single time they play Tinker.
And Tundra still having some memories of the series last night, because this is the first time that against Extreme, Visage is banned against them in the first phase. Like normally, Extreme likes to go for the Naga Siren, the Tree Protector, the Tusk, the Marana, the Tinker. They've never gone for a first pick Visage, but Tundra already going, you know what? We'll take it away in the first phase when we have the bans available. In the second phase when we have a single ban, we now don't have to think about it, but it does open up for the comforts of Extreme to lead into the first pick.
And for Tusk, this is a hero that is picked so many times with such a high win rate. Incredibly strong start, as Tundra's start is going Sniper.
Battle for Sniper.
Oh yes.
Did they hear us showing that graphic?
Yeah, I think so. I think TAPSON wants to prove a point. If it is TAPSON that will play it, I know there is potential flex potential. We have seen Saxa play it this week as well. But maybe indeed. Maybe.
Matter of pride.
Yes.
It's got to be a mid-sniper. You've got to show XM that you're going to take his sniper and beat him with it.
You picked Sniper against the best sniper team in the world, I would say. They know how to counter this hero.
Sure.
They know the matchups.
That's the risky part.
And again, the thing with Sniper is support Sniper and core Sniper are very different. Support Sniper, you need to have a winning lane. You need a team that wants to play into the map aggressively and continue hunting for your opponent. If the game never stabilizes, you always wish you had a support in the 4 realm that could do something else. Play for pickoff, play a wider map. But from the mid lane, you normally punish most mid laners, you prevent them from being active in the early game, and then you become an additional core that you need to somehow find the sniper whilst killing off the carry, surviving the initiation from the offlane. Hence why it is such a high value here at the moment, because, yeah, again, I prefer it in the mid. I'm hoping it is mid, because I think the win rate on support is like sub 40%, and from mid it's easily above 50.
Yeah, for Saxa this event so far, the win rate is 0%. So.
Yep.
Hey, it's a tough one. We got ourselves a Luna removed from the pool and a Willow, and that is unusual, Effie. Normally we don't see Willow banned.
It is, but when you think about Mars as a hero, he functions very well with Sniper, and one of his best combinations in the game is Dark Willow. So this Dark Willow just could be preparation for in case the Ramses Mars does come out, because if it does, then it's telegraphing a mid-sniper.
I think if Tundra doesn't pick up Mars, Extreme Gaming will. These are the two teams that utilize the hero extremely well. Ramses, he had a pretty small hero pool when it comes down to him playing at the Riyadh Masters. He did expand his hero pool, adding some new heroes like Kunkka. He did play Alchemist off lane, and did surprise Falcons with that Night Stalker pick. So he has some of these pocket picks that he could bring to the table if it's necessary.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that Night Stalker makes a re-emergence, especially if XM goes for some puck on 18. Like, he does have a specific hero pool in his Viper, in his Sniper, in his Razor, but often on the overall 18 pick, which is the second phase where they close it out, he will go for Storm or puck. That's what they were doing during the group stages.
in Tundra right now, they have the option of, I'd like to see them maybe pick the 5 to keep the draft a little bit more open. You don't want to go offlane and maybe get a counter pick so quickly. But again, the difficulty with the 5 pick here is you might go for the Omni Knight for Whiteman to push the hero forward. If Sniper's mid, getting an additional repel onto the Sniper will help a lot in the clutch moments. Or there's still the Elder Titan that Whiteman's played a lot.
Shadow Demon for me is the big one. This
He's still
hero
available,
is
yeah.
still available. Hero that does pretty much everything, but he's just gonna be Mars. It's too good of a pick. It took them a little bit more time to think about it because we said it's gonna be highly contested in this game. Now you need some kind of vision. You have save with the Tusk, but you need vision inside the arena.
I have a question.
Yes.
If Willow was banned out to not make that strong combination with the Mars for Tundra, why wouldn't they just ban out the Mars?
I fully agree, but I'm expecting Extreme has already assumed Tundra will automatically go for Mars, because if Tundra don't take Mars, Extreme will go Mars +1. Therefore, it's like, okay, don't ban the Mars, let them have it, and then we know what lane it is instantly. And that was kind of my concern if Tundra did go for this route, because you know what the offlaner is, there's no flexibility with Mars. Mars Sniper or Mars plus any 4, it's going to be the same thing. I'd like to think Extreme just want Tundra to draft in an expected way.
But also, they've let Mars through on Extreme. They've run crazy things like Undying plus Medusa. They have their own take on how to beat Mars on lane, and if they take away something like a Willow, they want that combo up because that means that they're going to pick a mobility-based laner from either the mid lane or the carry, and Brambles are so annoying versus mobility heroes.
And here it is. It's like, congratulations, you got your Mars, but now you're going to be laning into a Drinking Buddies Tusk with the Shadow Fiend, just constantly pushing down the Mars. And don't forget, what was it, Extreme versus Heroic, where Extreme takes a fight in their own triangle, they clutch up, get 3 or 4 kills, walk down mid, Arme just hits tier 3, tier 4, tier 4, boom, Ancient's gone. Like, it is scary, and Jakiro, we don't see that.
We don't see 2 range heroes often in the safe lane. It's also a flex pick, but I think the Shadowfin is going to be played by Ame in the safe lane, securing the lane, quite a lot of slows, something that Mars doesn't like to play into. You also have Requiem, so when he drops down the arena, you're a BKB buyer, an early one. You can use that Requiem and try to fear them away from the big team fight. And I like this a lot. I think they're never going to lack damage. They have a good Roche taking potential.
And this Jakiro gives them extra flexibility in the draft because now on this 18 pick, they could see what Tundra do here, and if instead of picking for XM, they could pick something for XXS. They could go for a Visage or Enigma, and if they choose to do that based on what Tundra pick here, then they can move the Tusk to position 4, play Jakiro with the Shadow Fiend. So it's a very good idea to set up for their overall last pick this phase.
Yeah, and for Tundra, they need to, if they want to keep the Sniper part of the draft alive, this is where you pick the carry. Of course, Luna has been banned out by Extreme. That's often what we'd be calling here, but then they go for Shadow Demon. So Sniper is the mid lane. Clock, Shadow Demon are your supports, and I think Tundra has just invited Extreme to, please, try and fight us. If you do, we'll disrupt safe who you go on. There'll be a hook shot to turn around, plus the arena. The entire early game of Tundra after laning phase, you won't see them really make too many smoke plays, but kind of bait Extreme to make these opportunities. And yeah, Extreme now, they want to take the fight. You've got the mid lane Shadow Fiend, the carry Void, like this is damage absolutely everywhere.
That's why I said that this team is never gonna be able to lose in like 20 minutes, or if it comes down to 40 minutes, they will always have something. So Shadow Fiend, Faceless Void, really good scaling lineup. And they also picked Shadow Demon into Jakiro. I like Shadow Demon overall as the hero, but sometimes it can be tricky. You use that disruption. It's a pretty good setup for an Ice Path once you come out.
I really like this. I really like what they've done here, picking the Faceless Void. It's a hero that's not threatened by Mars at all, and it's also going to be their catch for this mid sniper that was confirmed by the Clockwork Shadow Demon picks in this phase. But also, what SF does mid versus sniper is that you are looking at Tundra's draft. They have a Shadow Demon. They're going to stack that triangle ridiculously, but if you can just do a +1 rotation with this SF, with those raises, you can contest those stacks early on. And let's not forget, XM at the Riyadh tournament, he was the SF player for Extreme Gaming. In this tournament, it was Ame, but he has played so much SF, and he's confidently said, if you leave me this hero, I will pick it and I will beat you with it.
Yeah, and for Extreme, the way that they pick the Faceless Void is they see a lack of tower damage early on from Tundra, a lack of map progression. So often we'd be saying, you know what, Extreme's draft is a little bit greedy. How do they get online? But how does Tundra actually punish the greed? They themselves want to be efficient. Like Effie's mentioning, make the stacks, farm the stacks. Their entire plan from laning phases look backwards to your own jungle. Therefore, like Extreme, they're looking good. And I'm assuming the Shadow Fiend will go for maybe, is it like magic damage from the mid lane, allow your Void to carry. You see Sniper early on, quick jump onto him. It's choice. Depending on your last pick, he easily can still go for a right click and just ball up into a clicking lineup with the.
I'm just very excited to see Shadowfiend against Sniper, and then the Shadowfiend played by what we determined based on statistics. That is the best Sniper player, so he'll know exactly how to play that lane against that Sniper.
Yeah, we've seen usually the counters for snipers were these heroes that could keep the distance, like Zeus, Keeper of the Light, when Sniper was first picked a couple of months ago as well. So you did not want to get killed, you also wanted to get some extra farm, get the stacks in your own jungle. And Magnus, I was looking at the heroes that they've been playing, because he has relatively small hero pool, and if you open up his Dota Pro tracker, he did play 4 Magnus games in the last 7 days.
Might be a crazy suggestion, but I kind of want XSS to play the chaotic hero that does anything. He's played like Bristle before, but I don't think they care about teamfight anymore. They don't care about the scaling. They just want a noisy hero from the offlane to potentially throw him on like a Bristle, throw him on a hero that can just, farm up the early stats. Because Void can't farm the Ancient. Shadowfiend also doesn't really. I mean, he can, but I feel like an early stack taker on Extreme plus map playing hero, soak up the initiation of the Mars, and then give free entry to the fight with the Void of the Shadowfiend. That's kind of like the archetype of the offlane I'm looking for.
Well, XXS, when he first came into the scene, it was his Legion commander that's shown brightest, but I don't know if that hero is dead.
It's pretty dead.
Oh, too bad. It would be really nice.
I mean, if you're talking about noise, we just saw a Timbersaw go overall forgotten in a draft and do a lot of damage in that last pick.
But no, like Bristleback for me sounds really exciting. It also adds goo to amp the tag team, the drinking buddies, the Shadowfiend with the Void. Like, I think it adds the extra layer of complexity of how do you even beat it. And then same thing, I think Timber, sure, can work really well.
I think Kunkka, if Kunkka's still available, right? Something cheap could be really good, something that buys auras, because you have Shadowfiend Faceless Void. I don't want to see something super greedy. I think it needs to be something that comes online relatively early on. And the reason why I like it so much is we've seen how good it is against the Mars in certain situations.
Ooh,
Okay, second
wow.
Lycan of the tournament. Aurora yesterday, they did bring it up one time, and it looked good. It looked much better than expected with the Wolf facet.
Oh, we got some animals coming out here. The wolf versus the bear.
I don't know which one I like more. Like Extreme, the Lycan, it's really exciting when you have the wolf facet, finding the Shadow Demon, constantly scouting with the wolves, the little roots. It's so obnoxious to play against. And Tundra, it's like, they do not want to get to mid to late game against Extreme's lineup. They do not want them to have 2 to 3 items on their cores, so they go for a Lone Druid. They want to try and break that off lane, prevent Lycan from having a good time. And
I have a couple of notes. I think that Lycan yesterday when Jabs played it versus Extreme completely made Sniper's game difficult in the early game, so that last pick is great for them. As for the Lone Druid, it can pose problems, but Extreme Gaming have beat Lone Druid before in games where Lone Druid has stomped them in the early game. Once, back when they were on the Azure Ray with the triple X's, they were playing versus Gaming Gladiators. Ace was completely crushing them with Lone Druid. They made the comeback and they beat him. In this tournament, they did the same thing. They beat a Lone Druid during the group stages. So if I have faith in a team to beat that hero, it is Extreme Gaming.
Both teams stole a pick, like these crazy picks from the teams that they played against yesterday. So now we have Lycan against Lone Druid, and they're going to use it to their own advantage. Extreme Gaming, it is greedy. This is Faceless Void, Lycan. Lycan, even though he comes online relatively early on, you still have Shadowfiend on your team. Not a lot of setup in terms of how they're going to play the fights early on. So Ame, we've seen him being very active. So time zone, this is what I want to see again, where he jumps into a fight, slows them down, leashes them, and then go from there.
massive timer for Tundra. They need to win early.
Yes.
The later this game goes, Extreme has the entire late game. So if you're a Tundra fan, 30 minutes on the clock, get it going. If they haven't won by then, it's going to be real difficult.
Okay, let's see what's going to happen in this first game of this best of 3 in the lower bracket. Before we head to that game, though, we're first going to check in with Coach Maps, who's talking to Tsunami.
Thank you very much. I am joined by Maps, coach of Extreme, and Helen will be helping me translate because I wanted to know about how the meta has evolved. We are now on the second to last day of this event, but we've been going through the road all this time. How has the strategies, the hero picks changed over all these days?
这个比赛也打了那么多天了，我们想问一下，你对整个战术上的大趋势有什么改变？有什么看法呢？
就可能大家更注重线上，然后各个队每个队都有自己喜欢玩的东西，然后去针对嘛。
I think that everyone prioritizes lanes, and every team has their own specialties, heroes that they love to play. So it's around that.
Well, on the topic of specialty heroes, I'm also wondering, how do you as a coach prepare for a player like TAPSON, who has like an endless wealth? He can play basically any hero under the sun mid. What do you do to deal with that?
就说到喜欢打的英雄，我们想问一下，你对于对手有那么一位选手 TAPSON， 游戏里面可选的英雄他都有可能玩，去怎么针对他呢？
首先他是一个英雄是非常广的选手，就也没有特意去针对他吧，只是让他的节奏可以缓和一点。我们也能猜到他可能是个火枪手，所以选了个狼人，就昨天欧罗拉教我们的嘛。
So TAPSON has a super wide hero pool. He can play anything, and we did expect that he would play sniper, but we took out something of our own. We picked Lycan that we learned from Aurora yesterday.
All right then, I love the creativity. Maps, best of luck in this game number 1 as we send it to our casters.
The uncrowned Prince of China still awaits a coronation that has already been denied twice. This time standing in his way is a Royal Road Regent looking to add a third Aegis to his armory. It's Ame versus TAPSON, Extreme versus Tundra. It's China versus Europe, Avery.
This match has been in the making for a long time. The funny thing is, I think these are two teams who, yeah, top 6 is great, but it is not enough for either of these squads. They want more. I don't think they're going to be satisfied with top 4. They might not even be satisfied with the top 3, but these are difficult opponents to get through to clinch that grand finals berth. This is where it all starts for both of these squads, and I think this has potential to be an absolutely explosive match. We have seen the chemistry between these two teams grow over the course of the tournament. We've seen the meta develop. We've seen the creativity as well between these two squads. That's what strikes me the most. They're willing to pick up some of these heroes other teams are not willing to play, willing to steal strats from their opponents, willing to bust out heroes that even if it falls completely flat, they still have the confidence to run. And we are absolutely seeing that here with some of these picks down the stretch.
Now, you say explosive, but the draft seems to imply that we're going to be looking at something a little bit slower here, or at least that's what we would expect from certain heroes like Faceless Void, Lone Druid perhaps, but how do you view this draft and how it's going to clash?
I mean, both teams have some tempo setters. Like, you have heroes that can take down the tier 1s very early in the game. You have heroes that can play off some low cooldowns. Sure, you have some of those bigger teamfight spells as well on both sides. Heroes like the Mars or Faceless Void, even the Sniper are okay going late. But on the flip side, the Lycan and the Lone Druid are going to want to push, they're going to want to take objectives, and they're going to want to find these supports or break that front line as fast as they can. I am also looking towards this Lone Druid Lycan lane, because in theory, I think Lone Druid can win any lane in Dota. It's very hard to out-execute this hero, but if XXS gets a good start here and he can disable the backline from Tundra, can really open up the fight.
So the laning phase is going to be particularly important. See that TAPSON versus XM matchup. A lot of talk about that on the panel. The sniper being taken away from Extreme and XM in particular and put into the hands of TAPSON, who I think before this year was heralded as probably the best sniper mid in the world.
Yeah, I think you have two mid laners who would both say they're the best sniper in the world. One of them has to be wrong by default, but they would both claim that prize. The interesting thing about this mid lane is that XG picked the SF into the sniper, knowing this sniper was coming out and knowing it was likely mid, because Tundra have not had a lot of success with the support sniper this tournament. I think it was very unlikely they wanted to push it into that role. But historically, this is an awful lane matchup for Shadowfiend. You kind of get owned on the lane. The in-game isn't too much better. I think the Kaya build up into early Blink can help you in this matchup. You just play more of a spellcaster, find the sniper early on in the fight with a stun and blow him up with Requiem. It definitely helps this matchup a lot, but I'm a little surprised they went to the SF that early in the draft when you kind of know this lane matchup is supposed to be decent for the sniper at least.
And we see the magic damage build SF. That is a Shadow Fiend that you know, had his time in the sun and very quickly got roasted in the middle of the year, right? Like it was just popping up a lot. People were drafting it a lot, and it just could not seem to close out games.
I mean, maybe that's why you pair it with the Void here, right?
Sure.
If you need the extra punch in that late game. There is almost no hero better than the Faceless Void, and almost no better player in the world on this hero right now than Ame. He is the one carry who's been picking this hero through thick and thin. Even in the patches where it hasn't been great, he's still been willing to pick it up and experiment with this time zone and looking for a first blood.
Down, a first blood on the table, whips the spear, and Ame and DY will get the kill.
That is a huge pickup for this XG safe lane. When you are getting kills with Faceless Void, you feel like you are just winning the game straight up, and this is going to be a very strong ultimate for XG to play around as well. Normally, I would say this is a lineup where you have to worry about how you're positioning the Chronos so that your SF and Lycan can still have teamfight impact. Do not have to worry about it this game at all with the time zone. XG strike first blood here. Will get on the board, and the lanes overall going very well for them. You have XXS basically free farming this off lane. He's not getting bullied off the lane in the early waves by the lone druid, and the SF is going fairly even mid, honestly. I thought with some of the early shrapnel abuse, TAPSON might take a stronger lead, but XM holding his own.
They've got an interesting bit of synergy. I was taking a look at some of the facets there, and Jakiro no longer opting for the ice facet that everybody was going throughout the year. That was pretty much like, it was overpowered, let's be clear. It needed to be nerfed. Now opting for the liquid fire in this place, combined with the time zone and even the Alpha Wolves, we've got some kind of synergy between just anti-attack speed.
Yep.
Right? They're going to be throwing, this bear could have a very hard time getting hits in these team fights.
I think XG are very happy with how this Jakiro pick developed into Tundra's lineup, because this used to be one of the old school counters to Lone Druid in general. Just mask the attack speed slows similar to Phoenix. It's a good matchup for Jakiro for sure. Not a carry that gap closes him, not a hero he really has to worry about. You just throw all your spells out on the fight and the bear has to fight through it. I think XG are kind of happy with how that worked out. And like you said, a lot of attack slows for this bear to fight through. Pure, he wants a very strong early game here so he can just control when Tundra are forcing the objectives, and you kind of overcome that deficit in the team fight.
Yeah. And then on the other side, another interesting facet that Observer was pointing out, we've got hookup for the Clockwork. So we've seen this here and there. It sometimes feels like maybe it's less about the hookup and more about just having smaller cogs in certain matchups. But do you think this is something he's actually going to use defensively for this sniper and this lone druid here?
Yeah, I mean, when your team gets time zoned, you hook shot in and they get a bunch of armor, and then you're stuck there too.
All
so
right,
perfect synergy
good.
you're looking for. I think the armor can be nice in the late game. It's nice for the bear. I don't know if you can hook shot the bear if you really want to, but hey, if the bear blocks you, then I guess it works out either way.
Yeah, it's a combination of all these AoE disables that they have. I do question whether or not the Clockwork wants to stack hero on top of heroes between Time Zone, Ice Path, Macro Pyre, SF ults.
Yes,
you know, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot of team fight. I'm also looking towards this Shadow Demon. It's been a very influential hero this tournament. Soxa is one of the best players on this hero in the world. And I'm more looking towards the cleanse. Like, I feel like at a certain point in this game, you almost want to throw the cleanse on the bear to help him out. Just debuff a lot of those attack speeds, those we were talking about, and help him output the damage that you need. This Lone Druid Faceless Void matchup can get scary if the Lone Druid gets out of control. He just starts barreling down your objectives. If you mess up one time zone fight, suddenly Pure has 2 minutes where he doesn't have to worry about a team fight. He's going to take Roshan, he's going to take your buildings, he's going to farm the map. This is not a game where XG can idly throw out these ultimates and just say, okay, like we got a random support kill for our big ults, we're happy with that. Tundra are going to be able to take a lot off the map during that period.
Touching on the Shadow Demon, you like the cleanse for this game, but why has this hero been so popular and so successful in this meta?
He's a very good stacker. I think his laning got improved a lot, and I think he's really nice with the frontline heroes that have developed in this tournament. Heroes like the Sand King or whatever, you go in, your spells are doing massive damage. If you commit on the Sand King, Disruption bails him out while his spells are still running. Some of these combinations like that are really obnoxious to team fight into, and of course, I mean, Shadow Demon, his scale is monstrous. You go into the late game with this hero, he always has tools he can build into. He's a hard save, he's a hard BKB piercing disable. It's pretty hard to go wrong with that toolkit.
Yeah, and in this case, you've got some very clear backline you want to be able to save between the Sniper and the Lone Druid hero.
Absolutely.
And especially the Lone Druid hero, right? Putting that, if they try and go on the hero, you put him under the disruption, the bear is still, you know, swinging on you during that time.
So I will say, if you have to disrupt the Lone Druid, you might be in a bit more trouble than you bargained for, because that hero, in theory, should not need a disruption.
And could just set up for something like a Shadow Fiend ultimate in certain points of the game. Shinkyu barely able to get away from the bear, throws back a little shard, bit of pressure coming out from Tundra.
Tundra winning this laning phase for sure, and we're starting to see that gap open up a little bit more on mid. 14 denies for the sniper, denying some of that experience out from the SF in the one-on-one. In fact, XM just forced into the jungle early, getting a little bit of some stacks going for himself. Not too sad about this, but this is kind of the downside of that SF pick into the sniper. You're giving TAPSON a very good laning phase here. He's going to have very high solo experience on the map, and if he can get involved in some early skirmishes or make rotations, this is a hero. I think XM might be the best sniper in the world, but I think TAPSON is the best at using this hero in the early game, especially if he starts that snowball and he has supports that can play around him. So we'll see how many resources XG decide to put into stopping this sniper around the map, as we've already seen him just rotate the bottom, has an observer ward as well. This is a strong rotation. Do not know if XXS is ready for this at all.
Yeah, they saw some of this coming. They're going to pop the glyph to try and keep XX close by. They got him inside the cogs. A guaranteed kill for Tundra. And some pressure on that off-lane tower. Tundra.
6 minutes, though, coming up the clock. So maybe you sacrifice the power rune with this move, but no. Soxa wins the 50-50 anyway. And is going to output some free damage on this SF as his mana pool climbs back up. Very clean rotation here from Tundra, getting the sniper involved early. Now, the big question mark here is, do you rotate back to bottom again to try and kill this Lycan one more time on the TPN and look for the 7-minute Wisdom Rune?
That would
Definitely some huge rotation potential in the next minute here.
A massive win, and Extreme have been subject to that kind of pressure before.
Yep.
You're going to catch him here on the Assassinate, just a bit of damage. Push him back, disruption, a couple more shadow poisons, a blood grenade even. Does he think he can actually get this kill? It's going to rely on landing the poisons. He got a fourth one, needs a fifth one, he got the fifth one! Soxa, the hired assassin, sharp on his mark, brings him down!
What a move. I thought this was just some harass to clear up the map, but Soxa says, no, my friend.
What a pickup for Tundra. The stand-in doing some serious work for Tundra as they manage to get a kill on the enemy mid. 7-minute Wisdom Runes do pop up. It's just claimed on either side. No steals here, but damage on the mid tower is beginning to ramp up.
And some morale damage as well. Like, your SF is just dying to a Shadow Demon. There's nothing else happening on the map. This lane was already rough. You traded out the Wisdom Runes, which I think XG are happy about, but you're looking at this net worth chart, and it is a little worrying if you start to continue to fall behind in this early game. Are you going to have the manpower to defend your tier 1s against a push that can come, and guess what? It's here.
What a push it is. Tundra, 2-man rotation through the gates, trying to catch Ame here. Ame, one-time walk to work with, will be able to walk it off. Can DY do the same? No damage coming in just yet, but they are going to be able to keep this loop around. Is there going to be anybody from Extreme who are going to counter-rotate? Are they just giving up on this? It seems like with 5 heroes in the top part of the map, Extreme say, whatever, man, you can have it.
They're going to trade bottom out with the Lycan. That is what they're trying to get right now. Also got a lot of tower damage mid with this Shadow Fiend. Soxa will deny himself back to base. This is not the worst objective trade for XG on the map right now if they don't bleed out some big heroes. They just don't have ults to defend this. You're missing the time zone. Your SF was kind of low on resources, but now they're making the delayed rotation, so Tundra do not want to get caught up here. Ramses.
XM throws out the arena. XM stuck on the other side of it, but close enough to get some raises in. And Q, they'll be able to finish it up for XM, no problem. And now it's in turn Extreme Gaming's chance to take that support kill, or core kill rather, and hit some tower.
TAPSON just wailing on this tier 1 mid in the meantime, trying to return the favor. He's going to get it pretty low as XG just commit everybody for this top tier 1 as well. A lot of early tower damage and pressure in this game.
Which tower do you think is worth more? Which real estate is more valuable here?
I mean, honestly, the fact XG got this offlane tier 1 is not a tower I would have expected to go down, where I think these tier 1s mid are inevitable. Like, you were going to get this no matter what.
Sure.
This is going to open up some room for the Void, make those rotations into XG safe lane a little bit harder. I feel like XG kind of won this trade by some small margins. Like, when you can win these objective trades early with a Faceless Void, you should be happy. And we've seen XG prioritize Ame's farm a lot on this hero in the early games. They're not afraid to commit resources into the Void to have him pay it back later. Nonetheless, a lot of space for TAPSON around this mid lane now. They're going to get the deep wards out, try and look for, you know, some of those cheeky pickoffs on the SF or some supports roaming through.
Now, Extreme should know, general idea where that ward is, because they had a ward after the tower died. They know that kind of invasion is coming their way, so they had a ward out to see the move.
Right, Ame flanking in the river.
Ame cutting in. Looks like they've already caught Whitemon. Ame's looking for a bit more. While they get Whitemon, Ame thinks about whether or not he can keep chasing. 10-minute power rune is what he's going to play for here, and does manage to get an amp damage.
That's a nice rune to take away. I mean, I don't know if he wants to be in the river with the Void at 10 minutes, but he will gladly take the rune away. And
well, he certainly doesn't want to be top where the Lone Druid has come through the gate once again to, if nothing else, take the tower.
So there's a deep ward up here for XG that can kind of control Tundra's movement through that side of the map. But they probably have other plans, which is, you know, get this Lone Druid massively farmed up top with a lot of the space that's been opened up, and get some stacks going for the sniper. You want to hit these first 2 damage items and then take a good fight off that. Meantime, this tower is still alive bottom. It feels like a lot of this early game is coming down to these tier 1s. Which team gets the better exchanges around them. Do have that HOD up for XXS down here. He would love to start pushing some buildings and getting some real estate of his own. And
the bear, hounded by wolves, has to summon a new one here in order to try and contest the Lycan push that's coming in. Jin Q sitting on the side here, spotted by Whitemon. Scouts him out with the flare. Do they want to try and defend this?
Man, Ame has, he has been active in this early game with this Void. Yeah. Maybe not finding the fights or the damage, but he has made a lot of moves on this hero. So we'll open up the last tower on the side lane for Tundra. Create some space and pressure for XG if they can get these lanes in deep. Still have that tier 1 mid to play around.
We're also still waiting on the level 6s for some of these supports, like the Clockwork would make it a lot easier to catch these supports, but they'll find DY anyway, trying to D-ward. Gets denied by TAPSON. Ame finds some space at the top lane, just keeps on, I feel like he's playing a little game of cat and mouse, or maybe cat and bear, as he's trying to stay away from wherever Pure is set up, right?
He's the big threat on the map. Like, the Mars and the Clock are going to be your initiation every single fight. So if you keep track of them, you should be good on this map. And they are rushing towards the Gleipnir on the Lone Druid, and it'll be Hurricane Pike first for TAPSON on this sniper. So those are going to be the 2 big fighting items for Tundra. Would not be surprised if they force an earlier Roshan than maybe XG are ready for in this game, particularly if some of the ults get thrown out. We've yet to see a time zone in this game, yet to really see a Requiem. Do have the blink first on XM's SF as well, so this really shows you he wants to try and abuse some of the aspects of this SF sniper matchup as much as he can, find some of those early kills, put it to use. Still a very even game across the board.
Yeah, Tundra just getting a 2,000 net worth lead, nothing major. Large part of that probably due to the tower advantage that they hold.
Should keep in mind some of this minus armor synergy XG have as well between the Lycan and the SF. It's a pretty deadly combination for supports. If you ever just get caught randomly in the fight, the wolves start eating you. You get chunked pretty fast on some of these low armor heroes. Yeah. If I'm Tundra, I want an AC at some point in this game. I would not mind a Shiva's as well. Super valuable item versus these 3 right-clicking
through. Great target to be able to find. Got him on the other side of the shards, and then no! Couldn't get off the Requiem. Ramsey's interrupted.
He will not get it off.
Will not get it off. Denied for the full swing of Tundra as they turn that gank around.
Beautiful play from Ramses, absolutely reading the map, backing up the vulnerable hero in this TAPSON sniper and protecting him in this early game, and you get a big reward for it. 2 kills plus that SF going down, losing some souls. That was the blink move into the Requiem that you wanted to work, and you never even got there. And these are the types of misplays that if you get baited into these plays as XG, you lose some heroes, your towers and your map space is going to start to fall very fast to the Lone Druid.
Oh yeah, every fight that you lose, every gank that goes wrong, I feel like you're going to see the exact same scenario, which is Pure and his bear immediately hitting some sort of objective. They look to protect their Wisdom Rune instead of finishing off that tower, which is an interesting idea of priorities there.
Did get the glyph. They'll trade the Wisdom Rune, force Ame back to his side of the map. It was a decent amount of space for the Faceless Void, but still an exchange Tundra are very happy with. Now a 4K net worth. Pushing towards some more fighting items. BKB on the Mars would be huge here.
Especially since that save, yeah, it'll get the Hurricane Pike, which means now the Tusk is going to be way less effective against this sniper.
You need this time zone now. Like, you are getting to a point where Ame has to join the fights to help you lock down these heroes and set the SF damage up. The Tusk is not good enough right now. This is also a point where XXS is pretty strong. Like, he went for an HOD into Drum, 2 early fighting items. You would like to get some skirmishes going with this Lycan, or just be able to even do Roshan right now if Tundra mess up on the map. Feels like you need kills to open that up, though. So they're going to make a smoke play, 3 of them. Not the easiest initiation for XG. Kind of just have to land a shard. And even then, like we saw on that previous gank, it's not a guaranteed kill. They will spot the White Mon.
Gonna try and go for him. He defends himself, misses up, the hook up, they go for it, hold the snowball over the top of all these heroes. It doesn't actually stun anybody in time, so XM completely whiffs the Requiem. Just a shy bit of damage there. And Extreme will have to turn suit and get on out of here. Another failed play for them. Does this mean Tundra is gonna get aggressive again? Does that mean they're gonna try and take another objective? They immediately 3-man smoke up and see what they can find.
Going straight into the triangle. Aggressive play, but they know there's no Lycan ult, no Requiem. And XG are likely going to split up on the map, so this should be a clean pickoff of whoever they find.
Try and get some vision, set up Ramses with his blink initiation, not even needed for DY in this case. He's going to blink deeper into the side of the map, look for other heroes, but it's just DY. Once again, like time and time again, this man has been abandoned as Extreme. No, they cannot stand toe-to-toe against Tundra if even one of their spells is on cooldown.
And just look at how fast that tier 2 falls. This is the importance of finding kills with these ults on the side of XG. Tundra are going to get a lot out of the map every time you mess up. And that was just very on-point delivery of that Hurricane Pike for TAPSON. That is what gets him out of that gank, and I think it was delivered less than 30 seconds before that gank hits. So laning phase for TAPSON paying off here. They've yet to find a kill on this sniper in this game. That would be the biggest prize for XG to slow this game down. They'll have to just fall back on Ame farming. Or do they want to try and force Roshan? Again, they have a lineup that can do it very fast with SF Lycan.
Oh, that is an interesting proposition.
This is sneaky. I don't think Tundra are ready for this at all. They're not even in a position to try and test this.
No, they would have to try and go through the gate, and that would probably be a death sentence with some big AoE spells like the time zone at the ready. So
you cannot clump versus XG lineup. So this is just free Aegis into the hands of Ame, I would suspect, yeah.
But will that change much? I feel like an Aegis on a Faceless Void isn't going to stop Tundra from doing what they're doing right now.
This is not a great Aegis for team fighting, but it is an Aegis you took away from the Lone Druid. I think Pure would have loved to pick this up somewhere in the next few minutes here. Enable his pushing, enable this Gleipnir Bear timing. He's going straight into Diffusal. It's just going to be early fighting items. Tundra are gearing up for the early push.
This Bear's a little bit low, might be able to pick up the kill on that, and he does.
Plus 300.
Forces a resummon.
You'll still see, though, XG, like, they do not want to fight this tier 2.
No.
Just trying to get as much as they can. Trying to get to the Kaya Yasha on the SF to help him get the Requiem off. And not going to be Helm of the Overlord. XXS just building, thinking about Vlad's here, more aura items.
Yeah, I picked up the shard nice and early to try and keep, you know, these lanes pushed in, create more space for him and Ame to be able to find farm. But, you know, push eventually comes to shove. Feel like Tundra would not be... feel like they could kind of go high ground at some point in time. If Extreme are just going to keep dodging, right?
It feels like they almost want to, but there's just stuff to claim on the map. Kira will TP back, try and find the Jakiro again, and they will get him.
DY time and time again. He'll pay the price for the rest of his allies.
Actually, continuing to dodge. I mean, it's starting to feel like whenever this time zone goes out, might decide a lot in this game, because we've yet to see it.
It better be the best time zone you've ever seen at this point, because we've been waiting for it for probably 10 minutes at this. But Ame holding on to it.
See how bold Ramses feels here with this Invis room. I don't think he's going triangle with it, but again, it feels like if you get a pick off near XG's base, you just push the high ground, right? Bring everybody back, worst case scenario. Oh!
My goodness, that was a close call right there.
I mean, again, that is an extremely important blink dodge. Because if you get killed right there on this SF, your high ground's getting pushed.
Yes, that is the real dangerous part about dealing with any of these lanes. As close you are to your base, it also means Tundra is very close to your base as well. They would much prefer that Tundra tries to hunt down like Ame. The other side of the map here, pull all these heroes away, and they're going to do just that. He's got an Aegis. He's got some time walks. He's going to have to make some smooth moves to get out of this one. His first life is already forfeit.
Where's the help? Everybody's so far on the map for XG.
A hook shot to follow this up, perhaps. Immediately a fear is going to be used, and they got him easily. A Requiem that barely touches Tundra for a third time. Requiem's just not finding their mark. Extreme not getting to the position in time to defend their carry.
And what will Tundra get out of this? 20 seconds, no Faceless Void. I mean, the good thing for XG is this Void's so low level. His respawn timer is pretty fast here. That was a nice obs from Tundra in their own jungle. I think Ame just didn't expect it. Allows for an easy setup here, and they get the double kill. This is where this bear is starting to hit hard. That defusal came online. Pure almost level 15 on this Lone Druid. Is very far ahead of this Faceless Void. This is where you want to be in this matchup. Faceless Void really struggles to deal with the timings Lone Druid can put out, and in the team fight with the roots and the extra disable. Even the mana burn's obnoxious. XG with a smoke of their own, they want to get this Lycan active. Vlad's is done for XXS. He has triple aura basically. But what can you do with it? We've seen the catch and the lockdown be the issue.
I mean, a Hurricane Pike is only going to take TAPSON so far here. The Lycan might be able to run him down, especially with these Alpha Wolves. They've got him surrounded. The shards, okay, now there's a push away, and Lycan is totally given up on this one. He's left Xin Q behind, says just one hero showing himself. The Shadow Demon was enough to deter that TAPSON from one shot to another. Throws a second one at XXS, which Whitemon is not going to keep pursuing. He had the hook shot, but no follow-up besides that, so it's fine. 11-3 at 11,000 net worth leads that continues to grow and grow for Tundra.
Another failed smoke move from XG, another wasted Lycan ult just to run away. As you've given up your ancient control, this is where one of your last wards is on the map too. XG want to use it, want to fight.
Whitemon gets out.
Just
nice
no catch.
And clean. Just cogs, hits one, gets out. What happened to Pure? Man just died to Tormentor.
Yeah, he got absolutely murdered by this thing.
All right, Extreme. A fourth kill on the board. They didn't do anything to deserve it.
Well, that is one way to bleed away some of your lead on this Lone Druid.
Those Tormentors, man, they'll get you.
It killed his bear, and he died basically to the Pure damage rebound off the bear dying. Well, Pure struggles versus the PvE creeps on the map continue here.
And fitting that, you know, with BB team out of the tournament, somebody else has to take up the mantle of the Tormentor.
Did it for the boys out there. Though I will say, this is a big death. It's
Yeah,
a lot of breathing room for XG right now. In a game they were struggling to find some opening. He's going back for round 2. Okay.
All right.
I'm just saying, my man, if this one doesn't work, we got to go back and do some math here. Though the fight is breaking out bottom. XM gone.
Congrats on your Tormentor. Ramses, meanwhile, he'll win some fights for you. A BKB arena that catches 2.
These tag team ganks for XG have not worked out at all.
No.
Ramses, he's just read them too well. He's in the right place every time. And this SF with no BKB just can't do anything in that sort of engagement.
I do call into question the wisdom of going for 2-man ganks in the first place when I feel like we've seen Tundra willing to move 3 or 4 heroes around the map together.
Yep. It just hasn't worked. They're continuing to try and get it to work because they just don't want to bring their farmers into these moves, because then if they go wrong, you're really screwed. You're currently falling behind as XG, but you do have a chance to contest this next Roshan. You're going to not have the SF BKB, though. That's the big missing component here.
Yeah. And probably where it went wrong there in that arena fight. So, 11,000 down to 8K after an unfortunate death from Pure, but back up to 11K, recovered by Ramses and crew.
And look at this itemization on TAPSON. This is a TI throwback right here. A defusal on a hero that I don't know if XG expected here. Double defusal blade out for Tundra in this match. Trying to remove the Faceless Void's mana.
And also just giving them a counter to Time Zone, right? And when they get the upgrade, they'll be able to just poof.
Disperser, super value in this match.
And a Boots of Bearing as a third counter to it as well, potentially. Xin Q trying to buy himself a little bit of time here. That's all he will do, time. It's the only resources he has, no HP to work with.
Feels like by the time we see a time zone in this game, you're already going to have the itemization counters to it.
Yes.
You're running out of time here if you are XG. And the bear has met your base. The disperser's already done for Pure. So there's one of your answers online. Glyph already down as well. That's an early Glyph. Door's open for Tundra right now.
Is Extreme giving this up? All three different heroes out on the map right now. Finally, one of them comes back into Jakiro. Backdoor protection is up. They're getting cut right now.
Yeah,
That's
Wolves.
what's happening. Lycan managed to get the next wave in. So Tundra did what damage they could. And then, no, they have to call it quits. The Alpha Wolves come out to play.
Very heads-up move from XXS to stop this push that I don't think XG felt like they were going to win that fight head-on. This is a game of bend, don't break, continue to stall, try and get to the BKBs on the Void and the SF here. You can take that one good fight and come back in this game. That's all XG need. But Tundra are continuing to build a lead. Soxa getting messed up by these Wolves, man. These are no joke.
Yeah, that hamstring ability that the Alpha Wolves has can be deadly, but the Solar Crest goes a very long ways in protecting him, both with the extra barrier and the extra armor.
It's just side lanes. I mean, that is all XG are playing for right now. Get these two side lanes in as deep as possible. That Lycan Shard helps. Someone always has to come back from Tundra, then you can look for an opening, stalls the push. However, the second disperser online for this sniper.
There go the Wolves again. Another push is coming down mid, and the Wolves are trying to push out. One on the left side of the mid lane, one on the right side. One of the Wolves is already dead. The other one might still be able to cut the next wave coming in.
This is a catapult. XG cannot prevent the backdoor going down here. TAPSON just laying into it from the low ground. I mean, are you going to take this fight or just give up the racks to try and get to your BKBs? It almost feels like you just want to give this up. Banished.
He's coming back. A disruption to set things up on XM, who has no BKB to defend himself. He is all offense, no defense. A nice snowball into the neutral camp that they had vision of. He tries to go for a desperate TP out, but he is stuck here. The Cogs stop that one pretty easily. Once again, a duo of Extreme that play together and die together.
And another rush just to get some of these lanes out in desperation. No Wolves on mid to cut this wave. He's sending a Golem creep for it. The hero that XG need right now.
Go, 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 throws at that rock. The little Golems come out, but they'll only last so long. Now the Wolves will try and pop out invincibility, buying them a bit of time, but Tundra, yeah, as long as the Wolf is invisible, they don't even have to worry about it too much. It's dragging the creep way that they're worried about right now. It's close enough. Backdoor protection is down.
Range racks for sure here.
Yeah.
See how much more Pure gets. He will activate his ult and say, what are you going to do about it? And apparently nothing. XG concede a lane in favor of taking the fight with their BKB timings.
I mean, it's raid Extreme. They're bending over backwards at this point. One lane of barracks now potentially giving up two just in some sort of desperate ploy not to take a full-on team fight. They feel they cannot win without BKBs, but those BKBs, they seem so far away with the pressure that Tundra is putting on them. They go for it anyway. They try and get this fight with a time zone, but here he goes. Disperser on out of there. They'll leave the bear behind. That's the best bounty Extreme can get out of that situation. And Tundra can probably go back to it if they want.
They used Lycan ult as well. They did get the Ags on the Jakiro, so that spell is something Tundra are going to have to think about. DY was farming up a lot in this game. The time zone committed as well. So Tundra just hang around here and go high ground again when this next LD ult is up. You're looking at only 40 seconds here for another true form.
No macro pyre, no time zone,
yeah, I think
no
you
shape
force it.
shift.
I don't think you're scared of too much.
And I think Extreme know that if that push comes, they just have to play for one final lane of barracks.
This BKB on XM, it's so close and at the same time so far away. You might sell Wand or something for it if this push comes and they feel like they want to fight it. Or just give up another lane here. Time zone used once this game and you got a bear out of it. Not fast enough for what Tundra have presented in this game one. However, BKB done for the SF. And Ames is about 500 away. We'll go to the other side of the map to try and farm it.
I mean, if Tundra really wanted to go for it, they could try and hit that third high ground, but Roshan is up. Probably a sneaking suspicion that they're just going to do that.
I wonder if you try and smoke out and contest this as XG. Because it feels like if you give an Aegis to Tundra, they push your last lane. You're pretty sad in that situation. I mean, Tundra might not even go for this Roche. Just say, screw it, let's just go high ground. They have no answers. for the Boots of Bearing that's online for the Clockwork, the double disperser, not afraid of time zone right now. You can always make the jump with Ramses as well. Yeah, the push has come. No BKB for Ame, he's 100 off.
All of its attack speed slow is not going to stop Pure with an AC. Shin-Q tries to go in, puts him inside of the shard, and with that macro pyre out, they're able to do some damage. They drop the Requiem. Oh, it's pitiful. It doesn't do nearly the damage that is required. Arena goes down, and it's XM who's going to be the victim instead, perhaps, as all three are going to die, as Saksa, with one poison, cleans up all of them. That is done. Extreme Gaming. They hardly even played this game. 3 kills to their name before they call GG.
That was a very one-sided game in terms of who was controlling the objectives, at least after the first 12 minutes. I don't think that early game was that rough for XG in terms of what those two lineups were trying to do to each other. But once that mid-game came around, after Pure faced down his Ultra Nemesis in the Tormentor and vanquished his foe, it was just all Tundra from there on out. There's one time zone thrown out in this game outside of that Ultra last one, and it kills a bear. It's just not fast enough, not good enough. The moves need to be crisper for XG, but Tundra came out swinging in this game 1.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the greed of the lineup. If you want to be greedy, you got to step up and perform, and Extreme certainly did not in this game 1.
They did not, and that means they are going to a second game, being 1 game down in this lower bracket series, which is a very tense series. Winner will continue on to be top 4. I'm joined by Lacoste, Effie, and Tigov, and we ended the panel saying, well, it might be a little bit too greedy, and T, I know you said Tundra's on the clock. They delivered hard.
Yeah, they just autopilot throughout the game, and I gotta say for Extreme, this is an extremely weak showing. You know, if you're trying to get yourself further throughout the low bracket, maybe to the grand finals tomorrow, you can't be playing like this. Like XM on the Shadow Theme, he gets a quick blink dagger, yet to see a Requiem really connect in the early game. Jin-Q moving around the map, again not connecting. Lycan wasn't really able to make a statement, finish the game 0-1-3, and like Arma in the Void, we never got to see the time zone. Like the entire early game was like just, yeah, it was awful.
For 20 minutes, we didn't know which facet he took on the Faceless Void. Jokes aside, you know it's time zone, but we haven't seen it in action. I could see the big combo that they were going for. I think once they saw that Mars and picking up Shadow Fiend, they thought about, okay, we need to flex this SF to the mid lane. They did play 2 times from the safe lane, so they ended up with SF in the mid lane, who doesn't have any kind of setup. As we can see from these clips, somebody needs to go in, and Lycan is definitely not that hero. You need some kind of initiation, some kind of a blink stun, compared to Ramses on side of Tundra, who's been doing one hell of a job with his initiations. They had Clockwork as well to follow it up, and also SD to set things up. We've seen in the previous series as well how effective it is if you have Yule Scepter on Mars, for example, so you can buy a little bit more time to set up your kills. And other than that, Extreme Gaming, they didn't get to play Dota in this one.
I think the SD that you mentioned, Lacoste, is a big reason why Extreme had such a bad showing this game, is that Saksa really handled XM. Not only is it not the easiest matchup versus Sniper, but you're depending on your ability to invade his jungle, to take your stacks, to get back into the game, then surprise the Sniper with a Tusk gank. Then we had Saksa on the Shadow Demon, rune securing, taking that regen rune, applying extra damage, following him around with the Shadow Poison, getting a solo kill on the enemy SF, making it so that XM is always playing recovery this game. And because your SF is playing recovery, your Tusk isn't comfortable moving with him. And because your Tusk isn't making moves with your SF, there's no other plays around the map, because this Lycan was picked to shut down Sniper. It was picked to shapeshift and run at Sniper the same way Aurora did it to Extreme Gaming yesterday. But it just never happened. We never saw their ultis connect. We never saw their draft hit their stride.
Ame with the 200 IQ play. He's like, you know what? You have these 2 dispersers, you have Bongo Boots as well. You can't counter it if I'm not using this Chrono Square. So, a very difficult one. I think they were expecting the big combo, because if you are playing for the Chrono Sphere, you can't use the big Requiem. But, yeah, just didn't happen in this one. Way too slow.
Way too slow, and I think here, standout player, Tigov, Pure on the lone Druid, setting that high pace.
Yeah, setting the high pace, being able to convert on the aggression, and also when they had the net worth, he was so tanky in his true form that when they did throw all the spells, it's like, sure, you might kill a bear, but you're not going to kill the main lone Druid. You resummon the bear, and fundamentally, Extreme had no comeback play because Pure was so farmed. And again, I like the fact that Tundra showcased what you can do with like an SD in the clock, we've seen before in previous series, like the double low damage supports, but if you have good positioning, if you can keep people alive, you can reinitiate correctly, then it's all about the cores shining, and yeah, Tundra just nearly flawless game.
Yeah, and a core that's shown definitely very bright, Effie. We have to talk about this because we started the whole panel talking about Sniper and XM versus TAPSON, both top-tier snipers. We backed it up with the math, and we said XM is the best sniper. I think TAPSON also is making a case for himself once more.
I mean, TAPSON has made a case for himself on all of the innovative heroes through the mid lane. He's brought so many heroes into the meta, but you know, he made a statement here that everybody's been praising XM as the best sniper. I've been playing this hero for longer than XM has been playing Dota. Right? He wanted to prove himself here, and he really did. And now that we know that Tundra can first pick the sniper without having to expend a ban on it and beat Extreme Gaming with it, that makes it so that when they approach XM's hero pool, the snipers and the vipers within the draft, you've already taken one out by picking it yourself.
Yep, easy goings. I also wonder what it was like for Tundra during this game. We saw them being very dominant. They were in the lead the majority of this game. It seemed like everything played out perfectly. Do the comms represent that?
White sand.
Getting white.
Chill. We do Faro.
The whole second step!
Oh my fucking god.
Nice one.
Thank god we picked SD.
Thank god. Thank god you
Easy, Lacoste.
Pretty easy. This was pretty much game ended at that point, but you know, getting some good blasts out of how they use their abilities. They did go for this one big Hail Mary play in the end. DY sold all of his items. Did go for the item center on Jakiro. Disruption setup. They try to go for a Requiem. They miss it. GG. Go for the next one.
At that point, it was already looking very rough. I think our commentary team, T, said it as well. At the very end, we saw, you know, they had to go for their play with the time zone, and the only one they caught in the time zone and killed was the bear.
Yeah, no, it was despair at that point in the game, and I think for Extreme in this break, they just need to fully shake off that previous game and just, I don't know, I've not seen a team play like that in the opposite style to before. Like that was, it didn't feel like they were in a top 6, top 5, top 4 position. It felt like they were in the group stage still. Like I'm hoping they'll be able to shake that one off, because yeah, if they play like that again, then yeah, this could just be another quick series.
It could be. We saw that the Lycan was taken from Aurora, who was already eliminated, and that didn't work out. So maybe not taking strats from teams that are out is the way to go. We saw Tundra taking the strat from Game of Gladiator with Lone Druid. That played out fantastically. Before we see what Game 2 will bring us, we're first going to see what Slacks is going to bring us on the stage.
Absolutely, Sheever. Welcome, my friends. It's time for a crowd vibe check yet again. What a fantastic series. Hello, everybody. How are we doing out there in the crowd? Fantastic. We got the front row peeps right here. Now, I heard a little tale here. Who do you want to win this event? Who did you want starting?
Well, I was hoping for Team Spirit, but they're out. Ame and Yatro had their fight. Ame won, so let's go XG.
Okay, the XG fans. Now, they are down a game. They need some energy. Of course, we found some XG fans in the audience. What do you guys have to say, huh? How are these guys going to come back, my friend?
I have to say, this game is exactly the same versus Team Spirit. It's got 1 loss, but 2 wins afterwards.
Ah! Do we agree? All right, now, Extreme Gaming is back there right now. They can hear you back there, okay? Do you have any words for anyone on the team, sir?
I'm a fan of AME. I like AME for 5 years. I think he always do his best in Dota. He will win next game. As I said in this world, AME will beat TAPSON in next 2 games. 小四一定赢!
Yeah, boy! Do you think Tundra stands any chance?
Yeah, I think the first game they lost because they don't have a very good draft. They lost their lane phase. So for the next 2 games, if they can have better draft, I will say they could win.
Seem like you're very knowledgeable. What should they pick? Name 1 hero that you want to see.
What do you say?
1 hero. Who should Extreme Gaming pick?
Sniper!
Sniper! The only sniper fans in the world. Fantastic. All right, do we have any fans of the... one more. All right, these guys are very excited. Hello? Any words out there for Extreme Gaming?
Yeah, that's me! Woo! Let's go, Extreme Gaming! Woo!
Hell yeah, that's the energy we're looking for! That's my boy! I believe it now! Okay, fantastic. Any Tundra fans dare to follow that one up? Anybody here want Tundra to win? Oh, okay, we got some power boys over here. What is going on here? You're looking great, man.
I don't like, but I like the show, you know. That's the way, you know, airplane.
Yeah, this ain't a rave, dog. You're all right. It's all good. Who are you guys here for?
Gaming.
You
No, I think gaming. Good Dota.
Oh, gaming Dota. Great save. Nobody noticed. Fantastic. All right, Tundra. You want them to win?
Absolutely. TAPSON is the man of the North, and I myself coming from Tromsø, Norway. The North remembers. The North will take it a third time. TAPSON, let's go!
I would like to do a PSA that there are other people on the team, but the crowd absolutely does love TAPSON 100%. Anybody else? Any Tundra fans out there? Ah, the boy. Hello, hello, hello. Any words for our teams?
First of all,
Oh, wow, that really got a tonal shift there. What are we doing? All right, hit it.
Hyvä Suomi, TAPSON. Let's go, TAPSON. Let's go, dude. Let's go, Tundra. Let's go.
You brought us to such a calm place, and then you brought it back up. Hello.
Can I say something?
I mean, I don't think I have much of a choice. You just walked up, so yeah.
Рамзес, возьми шестой мажор.
Okay, great.
Sorry, International.
Soy International. I don't know what we're referencing here, but I know it's some kind of dank meme, so I'll take it, baby. We like that shit. All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everybody. The crowd seems hyped. We're getting ready for game 2, and we're going to get that thing started real quick. Let's go! What's the plan, baby? Woo!
You cannot top that energy, and I have no idea what was said there at the very end, but we happen to swap someone in that might be able to translate that. Hello, Poppy, welcome to the panel.
Hi.
It's PG-13 for translation, first of all?
He said take the 6th major, Ramses.
Okay.
I guess he only has 5. I'm not really sure.
Give or take, probably.
Give or take, yeah. I don't know. In the end, he said, like, who cares international, I think, in the end. But
Oh, well.
perhaps
I think Ramses would care.
misunderstood.
I think Ramses would care. How are you doing, Poppy?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah?
Good place,
Enjoying,
right?
yeah. Enjoying the level of Dota that's being played?
So far, yeah.
So far, yeah.
I mean, not last game, but, you know, so far.
What did you not like about last game?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of the things that they say even about how to counter sniper, we're confident. We're going to do the same thing that Aurora did to us, that lost against us. They picked Lycan, you know, so it's like, so you want to lose. Maybe that's the plan, but at the same time, yeah. I didn't like their plan, to be fair. Sniper doesn't really care about Lycan, because Sniper has so many ways to get away from Lycan, especially, which is the funny thing, time zone is not working against Sniper. You know, the idea about killing Sniper with a Faceless Void was putting him in place and finishing him there in that same spot. That guy can now run away from time zone with a grenade and then Hurricane Pike out. What is a time zone against the Sniper? I don't even get it. Nothing works in their draft against Sniper.
How would you counter Sniper now? Because this seems to be the pick that everybody's trying to figure out how to deal with this menace.
In my opinion, it's old school regular jumps. Like, in my opinion, if I'd be Extreme Gaming and I'm in this position where I'm going to lose TI if I don't do something very basic and normal where we can understand and play Dota and kind of vibe it out normally, just pick Rubik Centaur, get on the lanes. If we see Sniper, we go for Sniper and we kill Sniper. Instead of being like, okay, you're going to have to start going behind them to Wolves, and then you perhaps get that thing going or whatever. It's too many mistakes that can happen. Centaur, jump in, kill, okay, good. You know, it's not like Sniper can attack back. So just at least go with that plan.
Seems like a simple plan to go for. Another simple plan when it comes to Sniper is just ban it. Effie, that might be one of the things that they'll end up going for, although there is a lot to ban.
I mean, they've shown that they can first pick Sniper against XM and beat him with it. They don't need to ban it, and I'm sure they have their own ideas. I like what Peppy said about just get on Sniper with some simple gap close and a stun and kill him. We saw earlier in the Falcon series how effective they were with their Blink DK, with their follow-up from Hoodwink and Mirana. Maybe follow a similar recipe in this game too.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens. We're heading into to game number 2, Puppy, here, as there is a lot of pressure. Do you think that the players, like you've been in a situation like that as well, do you think that the players will let that pressure get to them or not? Because most of these players are extremely experienced when it comes to main stage games.
Like extreme gaming?
Apart from XM, yes.
Well, in my opinion, anything can happen. It all depends on their vibes. Do they actually believe that they can beat Tundra? It kind of comes down to that, let's say. Because I think Tundra has a gajillion strats. They play a lot of things. I think Pure plays a lot of heroes. He's always been kind of like a connoisseur of Dota. I will play Doom carry, Leshrac carry, depending on what carry I want to carry. Pudge. So they have their own, they have TAPSON too. Like, come on, they have a lot of probably ideas. They will choose one of them and go with it. But Extreme Gaming, they also have shown some kind of interesting things. They brought in the Blinks carry back in the day, or maybe even right now. Maybe they should do something similar like that, because this Faceless Void seemed very passive. And I don't want to see passive. I want some Extreme Gaming action going on.
Yeah, we saw a very high tempo set here in the first game of the series. Lacoste, I would imagine that that's something that for Extreme is something that they are gonna adjust.
Oh, most definitely. When they lost to Team Liquid in the upper bracket quarterfinals, they kind of lost the same way, and they learned a lot. Then they played against Team Spirit, eliminated from the TI. Then they played against Aurora, played super fast Dota in that one as well, and now they suddenly stopped. Overcooked. They needed something. They needed some Blink Initiator from the off lane to keep them in place, and it was also super greedy. I think also when it took the wrong turn in terms of draft was when they banned this Dark Willow instead of Mars, because Ramses, this is one of his best heroes right now, and I think you want to put him in a position where he doesn't feel as comfortable.
Agreed for sure, because Ramses, while he has excelled so much this year and improved as an offlane player, he still has a very limited hero pool. And often you'll see teams that go up against Tundra target ban that hero pool, which, you know, in the past it was Darkseer and Mars. Darkseer gets nerfed, now it's Mars, Sand King, sometimes Centaur. We did see a surprise Night Stalker one time, so that has to be in the back of your mind if you're setting up for a Puck or a Storm. But simplify it for yourself by making Tundra's offlane pool smaller.
Simplify it for yourself. Should be doable in the draft. But speaking of that draft, let's get it on your screens.
Tundra Esports versus Extreme Gaming. Game 2.
For the second game, Extreme will be on the Radiant side, and it is Tundra that is Dire with first pick, meaning Extreme gets the overall last pick. In terms of bans, Extreme did make it easy for themselves. They did simplify things by simply removing Sniper from the pool. They also do the same to the Naga Siren, the Invoker, and the Mirana. Tundra has banned out the Tinker, also the Tusk, meaning they don't want to first pick it themselves. Meaning also we have some usual suspects still left in the pool. I think the one that comes to mind, Puppy, Sand King. How have you been enjoying seeing Sand King in so many of the games, dominating most of the time?
Yeah, Sand King is a hero that I said is probably the best hero in the game, because the hero has 6 spells. Okay, now 5, but it used to have kind of 6. I felt like it when the facets and the innates got added into the game. And it's one of the only heroes that still has 5 spells. I would say so, because the Caustic Finale is very important, and the Stinger is basically an added spell. This hero has 5 spells. Others have 4, but some of them have 5, but they're not as strong as Sankings right now. So basically, best hero in Dota right now.
The other hero that is going to counter him also has 5 spell with the Mischief on Monkey King, so they're up to something.
That is not comparable. Mischief and
True.
Finale. What are you going to do with that on lane? Sometimes it works out pretty well.
50-50. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's what Dota is about. But I do like Monkey as a response to Sanking, because you can follow this hero wherever he goes. We've seen mid-Sankings have a much stronger presence in the game compared to the off-lane Sanking. The biggest flaw for the Sankey always was his laning stage, and now having these extra abilities in the lane makes his lane so much better, and also the passes. So you have Sandstorm, and you can follow, which does follow you, so you can roam around, still get stuff done, even if you don't feel like you need to be in the lane.
Yeah, I will say though, for the Monkey King flex, following the Sand King flex, it's looked a lot more impressive on the mid lane from Monkey King. We saw yesterday in the Liquid versus C9 series that they laned the Monkey King on Watson versus 33 on the Sand King, and the Monkey King did not shut down SK's farm. SK was still farming, because if you pair up this hero with a strong laning support, like a Snapfire, you're not too concerned by the Monkey King.
Not at all, as we're in the second ban phase. We already have Visage removed, and then Tundra took a little bit of time now to think about what other hero they want to remove. It will be Extreme picking out of ban phase, and with the Visage ban, probably aiming to remove some potential offlaners from the pool. Any heroes that come to mind that we don't want to see if you're Tundra? What could they be discussing, you think, Puppy?
I think the meta still revolves around heroes like Omni Knight.
Yeah.
Because Shadow Demon's out, and Omni Knight, I think, is still quite broken of a hero. Perhaps Tundra is just going to pick it, because Sankey is such a weird hero. I think if you pair him with Oracle or Omni Knight, that hero just becomes insane. You can't even kill that thing. It's already pretty hard to kill it, but if it plays in such aggression that you can't deal with it, for Tundra, it's Omni Knight. For Extreme Gaming, it's thinking Omni Knight needs to be banned and maybe picked right now. Basically, I'm kind of like vibing on towards that idea for a little bit.
Yeah, it turns out that the Centaur is for now taken out, but Extreme still as well taking that time. The saving supports the Omni Knight. We saw that ignored in the previous game, mostly because the Tusk and the Shadow Demon both made it through. This time around, not the case, as Wind Ranger is banned for now, and the next pick is Extreme's Lacoste.
There are still Mars available in the pool. I always say whenever we talk about XXS that he's one of the best Mars players when it comes down to being clutch, his blink initiation, something that we didn't see in the previous game, which they were kind of lacking. So would love to see a little bit of, adaptation when it comes down to the offlane for Extreme Gaming.
Yeah, Extreme Gaming have done some Zoo heroes from XXS. They've done Enigma before, they've done Visage, and that's when they usually put Zincu on his signature Mercy. I think that's why they're valuing this Jakiro so much in this draft, even though the hero itself doesn't feel that strong or that overwhelming, but they want that flexibility in their opener so that if they want to later pick their offlane hero, they can just dump this Jakiro on the safe lane with Monkey King.
Yeah. We had a very strong Lone Druid showing in that previous game. Is Lone Druid, was it only good because it was like last pick coming out for Tundra, Puppy, or is that a hero that you feel like should be on the radar?
It's a free lane against Lycan. It's a really free lane. Yeah, so Lone Druid was going to get fat, and Lone Druid's kind of in a meta, which, the Gleipnir is still very strong. They just needed a hero to kill towers. They wanted to push. They knew that the enemy was playing very slowly. Lone Druid puts pressure on them. I'm not sure if they need to think about Lone Druid right now because all they see is Monkey King Jakiro. If the fight comes back to them right now, if their draft isn't that passive, Lone Druid probably won't work out that well.
Fair enough. How do you feel about the support duo that Tundra has secured for themselves right now?
Well, to me right now, that looks like Saksa might be playing Enchantress again. Because somebody needs to go to Sand King's lane if the Sand King doesn't go mid. And I'm not sure if they're going to lane Sand King with Clockwork together. They might, but then there might be some issues there against Jakiro Monkey King where they start kind of diving on the Sand King. Maybe they can do tree cutting. Oh, sorry, not creep cutting, not tree cutting. But Saksa has been pretty good with cutting the creeps with 33. They've always strategized stuff. But we'll see.
So they picked the Nyx here to counter Enchantress. A lot of teams think that this hero counters Enchantress because of the way the new Warp Flare works, where you just insta-kill her creeps, but the issue with Enchantress drops are often they will hit this timing where they 5-man with an aura from their offlane, and Nyx does not like playing into 5-man drafts. So the question of Nyx is, how much can you get done from that early game? How much can you shut down Enchantress and make this pick useful? How early can you get your level 6 and play off of your mid laner? Because if Nyx has a hard time in the early game, it's hard to come back versus a draft like this.
What about the lane, Puppy, for this one? Lone Druid, they know it's going to be laning against Underlord. That also as free of the lane as they had in the game 1.
I mean, it's Clockwork Lone Druid against Nyx Assassin Underlord. I'm pretty sure that's a bad lane for Underlord. And I'm feeling like Extreme Gaming are shooting themselves in the foot by just picking a lane, making it obvious. Unless this Underlord goes carry, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. No, it actually does work. It does work.
With the cleave facet?
Yes, it's actually good. They could put Monkey mid, you know. They have still 24 picks, so they have the leverage on finding out something like that. For now, I'm really... Thundra seems like they have a more stable way of playing the game. And Nyx Assassin's going to lose his lane. If they can find a way to not lose the lane, but come on, it's going to be so hard. You don't want to do this.
And the scary thing about putting Monkey King mid, like you mentioned could happen, is that when you're playing against Enchantress as a Monkey King mid, she rotates on you with her creep, they dive you on your tower, you get your Jingle Slaps up, then boom, you're enchanted. It's dispelled, you have no means of fighting back in that situation.
Scary times for Extreme Gaming ahead as we are in the second, or the last ban phase rather. We got Nature's Prophet removed on the side of Extreme Gaming. And it is Tundra that is still removing mid laners, assuming that Monkey King has been forced to the safe lane.
I think that's the best place you could put it right now. I think if you were to put it mid, like I mentioned, there's a lot of threats from rotations coming out, not just from Enchantress, but the Clockwork. If you can just get some XM hero to play tempo, maybe you can rotate early on, try to counter some of the aggression coming out of this Lone Druid early timing. Because like we saw last game, when XM doesn't have a game, Extreme Gaming don't feel comfortable making moves. The second their SF was playing recovery, they did not operate through any other core player.
And they do have much better tower defense when it comes down to them parking heroes in front of the tower. With this Underlord, they have a little bit of extra global presence. So Nyx Assassin, he goes on a hero, he finds the target Underlord with his ulti, so you can bring extra heroes, Monkey King, as well a hero who can jump from the trees. He can pretty much be anywhere. So Nyx Assassin, they did go for this like scouting tool in the previous game with Lycan, didn't work out. Now you're going to have Nyx Assassin, Monkey King setting things up for potential Underlord gate play. So
they might have good tower push to, you know, to decline it and stuff like that, but they can dive them. They can dive them with Ench, they can dive them with Clockwork, they can dive them with a Lone Druid there. Like, it's not like you can sit underneath the tower and feel happy.
You know what XM did play yesterday that looked really good, that he busted out on 24? It was his Queen of Pain. He completely popped off on that hero. I wouldn't mind seeing that here, because they need some explosive damage coming out in that early game so they can get these kills. You're not threatened by the Enchantress tower dives or the Clock tower dives in the mid lane. If they don't pick it here, I'll be very surprised.
Queen of Pain, you are completely right. I would want them to pick Queen of Pain here.
Let's see if Tundra can pick something to dissuade them from that. That Sand King could still go either on the mid lane or on the off lane. Both Ramses and TAPSON play it. So they might want to pick something against it, and that, if correct me if I'm wrong, would be the TAPSON Rubik.
That's mid Rubik for sure. One of the worst matchups in Dota, I would say, is Underlord against Rubik. You're giving him 2 spells with the spell amplification, with his cast range, he becomes a better Rubik. Let's say you're sitting in Cog's Sandstorm, Sanking Stun with the Firestorm on top of it, but these heroes are going to disappear.
But it's risky, right? Because you put yourself on an even bigger timer, because your Rubik, later on in the game, he's going to get caught up by the Nyx. Once Monkey King gets on a BKB, jumps him with the +1 from XM, there's no saves on the side of Tundra. Their supports in Ench and Clock can't do much by means of counterplay, so Tundra has to be aggressive, 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 and not ever be on the back foot in this game.
Although Rubik does have magic resistance, and Nyx does deal a lot of magical damage only, besides the right click of the ultimate.
And they'll go for the XM Viper in the end. It is one of his signatures. It's not that Queen of Pain that we talked about. This Viper, how do we feel it fits in, Poppy? Are you happy to see this hero pop up?
No.
No.
But what you gotta do, you gotta fight green with green. You know, you pick Rubik, you answer with Viper.
I think the cool thing about Viper is that you're not really giving away many spells to this Rubik mid, like simplifying the mid lane matchup. Also, in that game I mentioned, ESL Malaysia earlier this year, they did beat Lone Druid with the Viper mid. I mean, Belly Flop got nerfed, so it's not as effective as a tool versus it, but at least they're going to have this very reliable mid laner that isn't going to be playing recovery the way he was when he was SF.
Yeah, so they counterpick the mid lane, which is going to be a tough one for Rubik. In terms of spell steals, there are some really nice spells to steal throughout the whole game, but I like what Extreme Gaming cooked. It's a draft that can fight much earlier compared to the previous one. They're not so much cooldown dependent as well, and I see a lot of damage on their side. If they're able to execute with the Xingqiu Nyx Assassin, Viper is a slower hero from the mid lane. We don't see him, rotate as much as other mid laners, but I think we're going to go to game 3.
Are you agreeing with that one, Puppy? Are we going to a third game?
I'm not sure, but my heart says Ame, but Thundra, in my opinion, is going to win this game.
Okay, we're going to find out what's going to happen in the second game of the series. Will it be a final one? Will it be another 2-0? Or will we head to a third game? We'll find out, but first, some words from the coach.
Thank you very much. I'm joined by Moon Meander of Tundra, where you are in the midst of a lower bracket run right now. But Tundra lower bracket runs this year have been kind of stressful. In Birmingham, you guys got knocked from upper, immediately lost again in lower. Riyadh, you guys got 1 win in lowers after getting knocked, but still the journey ended quick. So I'm wondering, have those past experiences taught you anything for this TI run now?
Yes, it taught me that you cannot be stubborn in the draft. You're gonna understand why you lost, and you just gotta pick the meta sometimes.
And Rubik mid is the meta? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
Only if you're TAPSON.
Which means that in response, Viper mid must be the meta if you're XM, right? So you guys saw that one coming?
Yeah, but XM didn't win 2 TIs.
Hey! Well, let's see if he can manage to make it happen here, or if TAPSON's journey will continue. Moon, let's see how this game number 2 plays out with our casters.
That's right, the two-time TAPSON touch. He's got it, and he's going to be playing mid Rubik in this matchup against Extreme Gaming. But we need to talk about Extreme, Avery, because that first game, man, that was disappointing.
It did not work out for them at all. They, I think, just didn't understand how fast that game was going to go for them. And maybe they were trying to make a lot of these small plays around the map, but the heroes just weren't that conducive to it. The laning phase was okay for them. You know, this is a team that's okay playing from behind out of the lanes, but you can only get away with that so much in a top 6 of a tournament, which is featuring almost entirely European teams, right? These teams play very fast, they own the lanes, they come out blazing, and then they have heroes that can convert into objectives very quickly. It is a very similar lineup here for Tundra. They have a lot of team fight, a lot of ball potential, some sustain, and another lone druid that could just get absolutely out of control. The one difference here for XG is they clearly went back to trying to win the lanes a bit more or have stronger cores that can stand there for longer. I think that will work out better for them. But they also have some liabilities like a Nyx, who, what is he doing in a laning phase versus a lone druid? Clock, dying, nothing. So that's a big question mark for me, right? Like you picked this Nyx to interact with Ench. He's not even laning against the Ench. However, this has been a hero Xingqiu has gone to, and like we saw Kuala Lumpur this year, they were very far behind in that Nyx game and managed to find some clutch pickoffs to claw their way back.
Now, they had an interesting discussion on the panel about defending towers versus the ability of Tundra to just kind of push through that and just kind of dive you underneath those towers. They've got some pretty good heroes to be able to do so. Do you think that Extreme are going to be more capable in this game than being able to, defend some of their outer towers, tier 2s, prevent some of this snowball going to Tundra? Or are we going to be looking at another split push game where there's a Monkey King on one side of the map and a Nyx Assassin on the other?
I mean, I hope that's not what it comes to, because I don't know if XG are going to fare too much better in that regard. I think they have a much faster carry. That's the biggest difference, right? Yeah. Ame had a very rough game last game. He had about 2,500 hero damage in that entire match. Oof. That might be one of the lowest in TI history. So I expect him to be mad here and come out and say, you know what? I'm not going to have a repeat of that. I'm going to deal some hero damage. I'm going to kill some heroes. And one of the best ways to defend your towers is if you just take the offensive potential to your enemy. Start going on them, killing them around the map. If you don't let Tundra group up because they never have all 5 heroes alive, you don't have to worry about defending those towers as well. If it comes to it and Tundra group and push your tower, you have some outspam, but I agree the dive potential's there. And Lone Druid, I mean, this hero's just, he's disrespectful. There's no other, he's a dishonest hero. He's dirty. There's a reason all these dirty, dishonest European teams are spamming him, Like, this hero just ignores a lot of the basic mechanics of Dota. If he wants to push your tower, if he wants to dive you, and he has double summon up, he's going to do it, and he's probably going to get away with it unless you bring everybody.
XM challenging TAPSON here for dominance in the mid lane. Doesn't really care about the Fade Bolt. He just keeps on playing on TAPSON's side of the river here, trying to keep him off of any of these creeps.
Yeah, ideally you zone him. Like if you can get a zone couple waves in between that like level 4 to 6 before the Rubik can maybe make a rotation or get out of that lane, it should be Viper favor here. XM will absolutely free farm this lane. Just a matter of how much punish he gets on this Rubik. And again, like the panel said, there's no spells to really steal from the Viper in the early game. But man, when you look at the rest of this lineup, I mean, there's a reason TAPSON asked for this mid Rubik. Nyx spells, Underlord spells, Jakiro spells, even the tree dance are all so nice as this game goes later. And if you ever get to that Ags, some other items on top of that, like an Octarine or whatever, we have seen TAPSON absolutely pop off on this hero.
Yeah, you combine a dominant laning phase for the Viper, who's currently sitting 16-7, so very good start. Do you think we're going to see support rotations into that mid lane as well to try and keep him down even further?
You can rotate this Enchantress. You have very good early game presence on the supports for Tundra. But it's kind of a scary hero to rotate into because XG can TP their own supports in and they have a lot of turnaround potential.
Clever use of the enchant there to dispel off the Jingu. But Ame gets it anyway off the Boundless Strike and will be able to get some lifesteal, pump up his HP a bit more.
To me, the big question this laning phase is what happens on this top lane. Like, how much does this Lone Druid get to punish this double melee lane? And can XG fight back?
Well, right now, it looks like the double melees are trying to punish Whitemon for going for that Cogs to get some damage on him and are able to kind of fight through. But yeah, the Lone Druid is still in prime position, 23-8.
That's scary. Like, this hero with a good laning phase is just in a world of his own. I would really like if XG try and put some pressure onto the Lone Druid, at least a little bit, before he just completely gears up into the Gleipnir. Like, if you can snag 1 or 2 kills on Pure here, you're going to feel a lot better as this game progresses. And you have heroes that can do it. Like, Monkey King can rotate into this Lone Druid, catch him from the tree line, stun him before the true form goes off. Nyx can do something similar later on with the Vendetta. You have some cool ideas here on how to start on this hero, but a lot of it is dependent on that first 1 or 2 kills are the most important here to snag at some point in this game for XG.
Yeah, I feel like the laning phase interaction mechanics are important, but I almost feel like, especially watching a lot of these Western European teams, that it's who uses the gate more effectively in that, post 5 to 10 minutes area. What carries are going through the gates, what supports are able to go through and successfully gank. Here, though, no rotations required, perhaps, as XXS finds himself isolated underneath his banner result, takes a lot of damage for it. Jinkyu trying to run interference. Also takes a healthy amount of damage before hitting the impale.
I mean, they're fighting back on this lane. It's not going too bad for XG, and this is maybe a more stable laning phase than they had in that game 1. The Viper's going to continue to power up. The Monkey should be okay on this bottom lane as he is getting harassed, and Enchantress is annoying for your Jingu stacks. Another go here. You do not want to feed kills to this Lone Druid.
Are they going to get this kill first? They do! XXS barely manages to get the cleave through to get the kill on Whitemon before he in turn falls to Pure. So it is a support for core trade-off, but at least that core was able to get some experience for the kill.
Throw a little puppy paws on top, no problem.
Yeah. Paying homage to one of the greats, as the 6-minute Lotus is going to be coming in quite soon.
We do see that the CS differential on mid start to open up. So these trades happening top, I mean, you just have to battle through them if you're XG, but you're trying to win the other 2 lanes, right? This is your sacrificial lane to a degree. You want a strong Viper, a strong Monkey King here. And if this Rubik continues to suffer in this mid lane matchup, like this is a hero that does not like getting his XP sapped or being forced off of waves, right? You really want a fast 6, you want a fast boots, you want to be able to move around the map, get involved in the early fights. This Viper, if he just sits mid and if Rubik rotates, you match him with a TP of that lane. I can see XM feeling very comfortable in this game, and this is one of his signature heroes for sure. We talked a lot about the sniper in game 1, but this is a hero that XG have just won tournaments with. GQ will walk off. It has been a tough lane to get through, but they are clawing their way through it here.
Speaking of this Viper, I mean, it's all well and good picking this hero to win the laning phase, but we've seen through various metas, in fact, this patch as well, the Viper has been picked up, and while it may do well in the laning phase, it hasn't managed to win the game. So what is this Viper going to be doing for Extreme Gaming going into the mid game?
I think today as a team play around these turret heroes better than a lot of other teams.
Okay.
They know how to move the hero around the map, take proper fights with him, so that's the biggest thing, right? If this Viper moves, you need to get a lot out of it. And if he doesn't move, ideally you abuse his laning advantage, either rotating and snowballing the hero. I'd say that's how someone like Gaiman would play with it. or you're confident in the scale. You have things to back him up, and you're just confident in the core matchups.
7-minute Wisdom Rune, it's about to spawn soon, and the pressure is amping up in the offlane, where X6S is getting dove by an Enchantress Clockwork. They turn around though, and they're killing the bear. That straight up is going to be 300 gold for XXS and the defended tower, but the Wisdom Rune still needs defended. Saksa, he tried to make a play for it, but he sees double support and finds that it is not a Wisdom Rune he should be worrying about. It's his own life, stuck in a corner, and killed.
Did you get the steal though? Whitemon
Ame gets the steal on the other side of the map though, so it's still even. Whitemon commits for it underneath the tier 2. The creep wave is coming in though. He takes a couple of tower shots and now slowed down by Jin-Q and XXS. A second support punished for Tundra daring to go for that dive.
Almost a catastrophe for Tundra on that rune fight. If they don't get that Wisdom Rune, I think they are basically walking away with nothing there. Lose a bear, lose 2 supports, especially early fighting supports like Enchantress Clockwork. This is not the support duo you want losing in these open exchanges to what some would argue is a little greedier with this Nyx being there. That is a lot of net worth and experience going to Jin-Q off this laning phase. He is very happy with what has happened in this top lane. We did see the dive potential, but that bear was just too low HP in this Underlord. Not an easy hero to dive this early in the game.
No. Part of the reason that Extreme did pick it up, right? It's going to be one of the best heroes to deal with that kind of extension by Tundra. Managed to hit that stun onto the Enchantress. The poison burst. It looks like it's combating against the Wiz, and it's just not going to be quite enough damage. Turns around the Viper Strike. That breaks the Viper. It makes him so much easier for Whitemon to kill with that magic damage. Jin-Q up next, perhaps, as he hits the Impale, but look at him looping around from the side. Is Pure to help get this kill. They are not afraid to move their carry around, and he provides just the extra bit of damage needed to get the kill, and straight to the mid-tier 1 tower pressure.
DY trying to clean up this Enchantress. Very close, he'll snag him. Big pickup for him on this Jakiro, almost pushes him to level 6, but that tier 1 tower is absolutely gone. It's a very similar game. You misplay versus a lone druid lineup, you're going to lose objectives. And that is just an open area fight that does not favor XG. That's where the Clock and the Enchantress just thrive. You're going to get punished every time, and some nice spell play from TAPSON to turn the Viper against himself. I mean, that is the one spell you would want this game, this Viper Strike. It's going to be absolutely nasty against some of the cores here on XG's side.
Yeah. Viper really cannot afford to give that up too often. Jin-Q TP down to this bottom lane, but Ame backed away at the same time, so.
It's going Battle Fury? Okay. This is greedy. Like we saw last game, we didn't see a time zone for a lot of time. That Void buildup was slow. Battle Fury Monkey can also be very slow if you get it on an off timing, or you don't have a free game, or you don't also join the fights and clean up. I mean, again, you're looking at a lineup from Tundra. They're going to be pushing you. They're not going to give you time to just AFK farm the jungle as much as you might want to in this game. This will pay off over the ultra long term, but you run into similar issues as game 1.
They already failed to defend 1 tower, but perhaps a second one can be defended here as a Viper Strike catches Ramses as his aggression will get him killed. Back through the gate they go, but they are going to be kind of set up. Whitemon throws out the cogs on these heroes, but they don't actually have the numbers perhaps, as so many heroes come through the gate that Extreme Gaming overwhelmed Tundra. Kill the support, take down the bear, go after the hero as well. Pure, he draws a new bear out from the ground. Ame, he gets a couple of Jingo hits in his supports though. Can't get there in time to be able to provide the disables. Instead, they're fighting TAPSON underneath the tank. Can't live. Meanwhile, Ame gets turned around on by Pure, who pops his ultimate, and his bear managed to double team the Monkey King. It'll do the same to the Underlord.
Pure is so strong in this early game. Diffusal already up, Spark of Courage going to work. In fact, 2 Sparks of Courage. They both will activate here as they get low, and XG just overextends. Super nice gate movements. They do get the Rubik pickup, and the Viper stays alive, so that little battle they won. TAPSON going down again. His game is very rough at this point. But would you sacrifice a little Rubik net worth here to boost the Lone Druid into this position? I think you would.
Yeah, I mean, your Lone Druid is the entire key to your lineup, right?
Yes, he is the fulcrum. He is the hero you're going to fight around and try and snowball this game off of, and it is a 3-0-3 start for Pure on this Lone Druid. He's very strong right now, almost level 10.
And he's going to take even more as he comes through the gate. Take that safe lane tower. Maybe take DY's head with it. Saksa tries to slow him down with a blood grenade. Finally catch up. Long enough for the diffuser blade to get it active. That's enough.
TAPSON will get a level 2 dual breath for his troubles. Also pocketing an arcane rune right now. So he's poor, but he has some spell power to play with and can easily join these fights. He's going to get a bunch of gold off the objectives as well. So as Pure opens up this map, it'll help him recover. And you can definitely go in for early Roshan this game if you are Tundra. Enchantress can help boost it up. Got some Skelly Boys for some extra damage. XG continuing to look for trades, very similar to game 1. They have some gate potential like we saw there. I like the idea of just making these fast moves with everybody outnumbering Tundra. If they had snagged that lone Druid kill, this game might have just swung completely in their favor, but another quick find from Jin-Q. I mean, he's having a great game here on this Nyx, all things considered. He's level 7, Urn already up, going Vessel on the Nyx to try and deal with the lone Druid heal, try and push through maybe the Sand King Bloodstone a little later on.
And that Bloodstone is going to be happening at this rate because Ramses, we haven't talked about him hardly at all, but he's just having one of those quiet farming games for the Sand King, which he does do, right? We saw from like 33 Sand King, for example, just hoovers up all these neutral creeps, collects all this gold, all of a sudden comes out, and he's just a team fighting menace. He's got 6K net worth right now, well ahead of anybody else on Extreme.
It'll be first item pipe for him. So he's going the team item over the greedier option.
Hookshot lands, TAPSON tries to follow this up, but a gate from XXS keeps him away, manages to steal that gate. Can TAPSON do anything with this, though?
A very interesting spell to have.
An opportunity to meet Extreme's movements, perhaps? A way to be able to outmove
action. I do like the pace XG are bringing here compared to game 1. Yeah, they're making a lot more moves. The moves are working for them. They're combining a lot more heroes very quickly. You can see the idea. They just don't want to get outmatched in that department again.
I mean, they've already tripled up the number of kills they got in game 1. So
yeah, I think Ame's tripled his hero damage too. So things are working out a bit better here. And this Underlord is going to be a menace in the early fights. Like, he's going to have a fast pipe himself. That is a really big item for XG to rally behind. You know, Viper, you put this Viper in the front of the fight, you throw some auras behind him. If you add a little bit of sustain, sometimes you can just stand in the front line, burst the Sand King, burst the Rubik, and be really annoying with that corrosive haze and the corrosive skin going to work. So I can see this ball coming together for XG, but this is a very pivotal next 5 or 10 minutes here. Cannot start to bleed kills and objectives, and you really need to get Ame past this kind of mid-game point of, okay, he's closing in on the Battle Fury, but how much time are Tundra going to give him to use that Battle Fury before this game heats up? Because you are still looking at a very farmed lone Druid.
Yeah, he is over 2K ahead of the Monkey King, and he's got a Sand King with a pipe complete. So the bear does a lot of damage. It's got some catch thanks to the Fuse Blade inhibit, potentially the root as well, and you're not going to turn around and kill it, not with the extra magic resistance the pipe's going to be able to provide. So add in even more free power runes for TAPSON everywhere he goes, because Extreme Gaming refused to play the middle part of the map. They've conceded that area time and time again, and will just play the side lane. Jin-Q, Whitemon.
Want the Underlord up top. XXS will try and vacate the area. Do you gate on him here? That's a big question.
Stolen spell still available for TAPSON. They'll TP back. Tundra, I assume, are playing this part of the map for Roshan, right? Like, we want to take these off-lane towers, but also Roshan on the table, you said, was pretty
he's going to gate Ame bottom, maybe.
Ooh. Yeah, Roshan hits him, and here comes the gate. A move that Ame was not expecting. What does he do about this one? Hits the trickery, but he knows he's got to run the magic damage of TAPSON. It's easily going to overwhelm him. Finally, the gate is put to use here, and Tundra back through it, the other side of the map.
Very efficient move. TAPSON was pinging that one out. Just an easy setup here from Ramses. He'll even go through the gate, so Tundra bringing 5 heroes back to this triangle, and XG smoking straight into them here without the Monkey King.
Fighting without the Monkey is a bold move, and they've already been jumped on, but what an Ice Path Macro Pyre. A beautiful hit that does no damage, though. Pipe shrugs off most of it. Poor Ramses is stuck inside the Macro Pyre for so long. He almost dies. Still, though, the fight is good for Tundra as they keep chasing after heroes. DY's going to be stunned up long enough for the rest to follow it up. The bear does not quite die. So both Ramses and the bear get low. Nobody actually falls. Tundra picking up a 5K net worth lead now.
3,200 damage done by XG, and they kill nothing there. Just all gets pumped into this Sand King pipe, and the sustain of the bear took a lot of it as well, but Pure able to TP it out in time. Even 6 poison stacks did not bring it down. Once more, XG just lacked the damage here. Now Blink is up for Ramsey, so you have more initiation power, more dive potential.
Stolen Firestorm is perfect to get the damage. The Underlord, a tanky hero, not against this kind of overwhelming advantage that Tundra are bringing to every single fight. Extreme, you specifically said this is the time where they need to make sure they do not bleed out in kills and towers. And that's exactly what Tundra is doing to them.
They're finding the openings. This game is starting to spiral in their favor. They just have such a commanding pace with the start that Pure's had. The Gleipnir's already done on him. And Solar Crest flying in for Soxa means you can power up this bear even more. They have everything online. This level 4 Firestorm is just the cherry on top of the mid Rubik here. And you just finished your battle, Pure. So on the flip side, while Pure's almost ready to go high ground, Ame's like, guys, I need another 20 minutes.
Time to start farming.
My game just began. XG, they need to find a way to make space in this game.
I feel like I've seen this story a few times in this series. DY, Jakiro, alone somewhere on the map, found, and we'll make Tundra work for it a little bit. They'll have to use the hook shot. Meanwhile, mid lane, they actually jumped out of Pure. Pure does manage to get off his ultimate, and Ramses came in with the epicenter. It's not an easy kill, but XM can do the damage. The Viper is more than enough, and Ramses, Ame, a 4-step caught him out of the rocket flare. That surely would have been a death sentence.
That is so close to a terrible death for Ame, but instead he gets to join the fight, pick up some extra gold on top of it. And he does the most damage there with a massive Wukong. Pure, he felt invincible. He felt like this game was too good to lose. And XG, they find the opening they need in this series. Now all of a sudden, we have ourselves a Dota game because this monkey is going to get the time he needs.
Tundra immediately try and strike back without two of their cores. Two supports leading the way. Thompson to help out. XM with that vessel on him. He's burning, but they do have supports coming in now. XM helped out by the pipe. Can he live through this? No, but he does get his revenge, certainly, from the grave. He spits out back at Tundra and will claim 3 lives for his own.
And Ame's going to get another team fight cleanup here. Says, thank you, XM. The buffet has been set. Jin-Q is starting to turn into a 4th core here. We've seen this in a lot of the Knicks games. He just finds these little openings, and it doesn't take much for him to be a huge threat. This vessel has absolutely paid off versus these big team fight frontliners. Another 2,000 gold swing here for XG, and this game is back to even.
The table is set, dinner is served. Ame and Jin-Q are feasting out here. Look at him jump up the net worth, almost catching up to the Sand King now.
And it's so many levels too. Fights. I mean, this is another play where, like, this is the strength of Viper. When you go on him and you overextend and you need that last bit of HP to get through him, it sets the team fight up for the rest of the team. The pipe comes through. It's just too much to get through. Thompson's out of mana. Soxa can heal, but that's a 1-for-3 trade, and XG will take that every time. More vessel charges for the Knicks and a lot of experience going their way. You now have a Monkey King who's level 14 versus a Lone Druid who is also level 14. That lead in the carry count carry matchup is evaporated by now.
Feels like Tundra got a little bit too used to the net worth lead and the way the momentum was going in this series. Game 1 was such a dominant show from them, and it felt like Game 2 might be a repeat performance, but now they're beginning to get picked off and falling apart. The Nyx Assassin setting up Extreme Gaming for another successful kill.
And an amp damage rune for one of their cores. XM will pick it up. They can start to do some tower pushing of their own. Jin-Q finds another massive opening in this game. This mid Rubik is starting to get abused. He is falling behind the enemy 4 position and becoming a liability.
Set that trade-off. Would you take an under-farmed Rubik in exchange for an over-farmed Lone Druid? 1 death on Pure has made that strategy from Tundra fall really flat. And bug indeed, Jin-Q playing the Nyx Assassin, perhaps the MVP for Extreme Gaming, as he has set them up for so many kills by now and has finally gotten Extreme Gaming a net worth lead. What feels like the first time in this game. We'll see if they can actually keep that growing, though.
It's a very pivotal moment in this game. If XG can continue to find the momentum, then we could be looking at one of the, is it the first potential Game 3 on this main stage?
Since we got to the main stage, it's just been 2-0s all the way through. bit disappointing, but maybe we could finally see one. Extreme, especially Ame, he doesn't want to go out like this, man.
No.
I mean, he has so many second places, third places, fourth places at TI.
Look at this.
2022, he had a 6th place performance.
A 1% lead in Golden XP. They have crawled their way to an advantage somehow.
It seems like it's still slightly favoring. I saw 45-55 to the favor of Tundra. Where do you think that comes from?
I mean, the Lone Druid's still very strong, right? And you're still kind of in his game. Pure has control in terms of where and when the fights happen. If Tundra get a big pick off into Roshan, they can regain a lot of the momentum. And we still have this Sand King, right? This hero has dominated a lot of the games on the main stage. Ramses is still the most farmed hero in the game. In fact, he's going back for the Bloodstone. So he's like, all right, you know, the Blink Pipe push, it didn't pan out completely for us, but we can still scale here. We can still pick up the teamfight slack. He's still going to become a beast. In theory, this Monkey King pick can deal with these heroes in the ultra late. This is why it was prioritized so highly in that first round by XG. It's a hero that can dice up the Sand King even through a lot of his spells, because you just throw the Wukong and you match him.
And he'll be able to ignore a lot of the magic damage coming his way with the BKB as his next item.
Yep. This is going to be a battle of magic resistances in some ways.
Yeah.
Like you have this Rubik Lone Druid who can buff up and become very tanky versus a lot of the spell damage, but on the flip side, you have this Viper who's his own menace. You have a Monkey who's going to have BKB and potentially very strong fight around the Roshan, and you have a Pipe on both sides. Initiations are going to become very key as this game progresses. What can Jin-Q find?
Oh, this is maybe a little too
awkward.
deep. I'm not sure if you want this one. XX says he committed for that one. He throws out the pin.
Where's he
going? He's not going back. He pushes forward. Kamikaze straight past the tier 2 tower. I guess it helped Jin-Q get away.
I mean, that was clearly not a play the second Jin-Q started to bail. XXS did not get the memo.
Very awkward. Just as we were praising Extreme Gaming for having some cleaner executions in this game 2 than they did game 1, they fall right back to game 1's mistakes.
I mean, just type space for Ame because he just finished BKB.
Guess so. See what that space can do for them, though, because, I mean, you said they could do Roshan pretty early. Tundra have yet to be able to find that objective. They're finally going to make the play now, but Extreme Gaming are going to try and defend it here. They won't have the Underlord Beanscape, but he could TP into the outpost and make a full 5-on-5.
Currently, the entire Bloodstone for Ramses is flying out right now, but it's far. If XG take this fight right now, you're missing a huge amount of net worth on this Sand King.
And Ame is maybe going to be able to get a really good ultimate here.
On all of them.
The corner of the pit. He's going to throw it out. Drops
It's an illusion.
Down the strike. He went out to an illusion. That's disastrous. The rest of the team is going to have to make a better initiation, but the Roshan's already dead. And Ame, he pops his BKB, but for what? To try and get TAPSON. It seems like he's managed to get his Jingu stacks up, and we'll finish off that pesky Rubik. XXS needs some help. The bear is currently causing problem. What a hit from his Jin-Q, but Ramses is still strong with a Bloodstone. Running around with his Sandstorm, trying to chase after these heroes. Somehow Pure managed to get through this one, and now his bear starts going to work. A hit from the Valley Strike, a push away from the bear. Get back, get back. Jin-Q tries to make a run for it, but the Gleipnir gets him in his hole. XM standing strong.
The
Take down the Lone Druid once. Ame, can he make it twice though? In the way, XM, he's out of here. A TP out, DY does the same, but Ame will be left behind.
Oh, Pure. He switched his items onto the main Lone Druid just to get that Gleipnir out. What an insanely heads-up play.
Oh, no way.
But XM, he just lived through that entire fight. The Viper, he stands, he delivers 6,000 damage. They get the Aegis, they get 4, they get a buyback on the Clockwork. An extremely even fight, but one that XG are probably okay with because now you took that second life out of the Lone Druid's hands, and again, you slow the tempo down. Still, what we didn't see at the bottom of that screen was Ame. He went on the bottom tree line. He dropped a Wukong on a Rubik illusion that got baited. TAPSON with, I think it's just an illusion rune, did so much work in that fight. And now he will be caught again. This is another deep committal.
Whitebot might have just bailed him out with a beautiful hook shot at Cogs. They're all grouped up. TAPSON is dead, but maybe Ramses with a 3-man burrow. Hit that epicenter, hit the bear roar. Get as much as you can out of this. It's a grab bag.
These gates, they have been a blessing and they have been a curse for XG. It's another one that just felt too deep.
And a third hero to go. Ramses gets him on the burrow too. All 3 that went through that gate will die for it.
Tundra strike back with another gift just straight into the heart of their side of the map. And And Ame's looking on like, guys, is this the fight we want to take? XG just not respecting the numbers that can come from Tundra around these tier 2s. And now you gave him an opening, you gave him push potential. Pure straight into the high ground. Alpha Wolf here for Soxa for more damage boost. And the Ags is done for the Rubik, so despite TAPSON having an extremely rough game here, in fact, he is bottom 3 net worth. This is a support Rubik at this point.
They're making this push without the Rubik. Extreme Gaming gonna try and catch the heroes before they can retreat.
That is,
oh, that is a big misclick there from XM.
I mean, he got that siege creep.
Yeah, siege creep down, I guess.
That is a range Drax claim from Tundra. Not an end-all be-all given the game state, but another big momentum loss for XG, who felt like they were clawing their way back in this series. They'll have to fall back a bit and regroup here as they try and get Ame to his next item.
Some over-aggression and mistakes cost Extreme what could have been a hold on this game. Wrestled from their grasp, and now Tundra with a 5K net worth lead, a range barracks down. They can exploit another maneuver from Extreme like that. We could be looking at another full lane, another second lane. I mean, this tier 2 goes down and the whole base is potentially open for Lone Druid's taking.
How much can you control the objective taking right now? How much can you get these lanes out and continue to try and find openings with this Nyx Assassin? I think Tundra are done getting picked off. They're just grouping for the rest of this game, it might be. Though I don't know if XG want to gate into them anymore. Yeah. Players have not panned out as much as they did in the early game.
Look at DY. What is this, man? He smokes out to get some wards down, some very deep vision, but are these wards actually going to be helpful to you if it's Tundra just pushing into your base? I mean, they're not leaving Extreme side of the map right now.
They're great for deep wave cutting and splitting the lanes behind Tundra's front line, dragging them back, because this will see some of the setup on heroes trying to catch Ame or kill the Viper on their side of the map. As long as you can feel like you can defend your base in the meantime, this lets you farm it out, not lose a net worth deficit. See if Tundra feel pressured to smoke across the map and try and catch the split push, or if they're happy just keeping the game static, looking towards the next Roshan.
That'll be coming in 3.5 minutes time. Meanwhile,
XM gonna look towards the BKB on the Viper. That would be the next biggest pickup here for XG. We've seen how much damage he does in the fight. It's crazy when the stacks build up.
0.1 second TP there from TAPSON. It's DY to evacuate the area. But that Viper is still out there, still farming away that all-important BKB.
And part of the equation that's been working for XG in the fights has been isolating TAPSON at the start, or taking him out. With this Ags on the Rubik, it's that much more important, because you cannot give away Firestorm +1 in a team fight and let him get multiple rounds of these spells off, right? He already has Firestorm, he goes in. Let's say he gets Impale or Pit or Ice Path, something of this nature, and you do not take this Rubik out of the fight, he will win that team fight for Tundra, unless the bear gets bursted, which Shin-Q, he's got ideas of his own here, going back for the Dagon. He is very farmed on this Nyx. He does a lot of burst damage. But can you catch the Lone Druid before the true form comes out? That's a big piece of the puzzle here. And BKB done for Ramses means he can frontline a lot more confidently now.
Same goes for Pure.
Yep.
Double BKB timings, which means Ame is going to have to be the one to step up as the big physical damage dealer. You're going to need better Wukongs than what we've seen so far.
Ame, does he know the danger lurking around him right now? This ward might betray him as he doesn't see any of these smoked heroes, but they don't see him.
Oh, it breaks. TAPSON, wait, a flare over the top. Ame is going to realize what's going on, hopping into the trees. They thought he was maybe on the low ground. So hard to know exactly where a Monkey King is. When the smoke breaks, he could be on any of these trees.
I mean, that is a massive play for both teams. It's a lot of time and a very important smoke wasted for Tundra. They cross the entire map there. Between Ame goes bottom and the team pushes out mid, takes a high ground position. They're gonna look to jump Pure mid. Again, if he does not get his ult off.
They did have vision of Ame making his way to bottom and then back to mid.
They still want this Viper BKB. That's the thing, XM, he's so close.
Yeah.
Don't want to fight without that right now. As Tundra, they have their big fighting items. They have the double BKB plus that TAPSON Ags. They're not really missing anything right now. Should also keep in mind this Soxa Enchantress. He got to Hurricane Pike and he rolled an Enchanted Quiver, so he is outputting a lot more DPS than he was in those early exchanges, can be a threat of his own, absolutely. Not a bad hero versus the Viper in the later stages of the fight, honestly. If you just sit there and trade with each other, it's unlikely you get Viper struck broken yourself. You're going to want bigger targets for this spell.
Yeah. Looks like that BKB is going to be completed for XM as Tundra do not go for the high ground push. Would have been a bold move, but perhaps unwise just because we are entering that Roshan spawn period. Last thing you want to do is fail a high ground push and give Extreme free access to the pit.
Absolutely. This will also wear out that timer on the Stolen Firestorm for TAPSON. So XG are going to go into this next fight. This Rubik will have to look for the double spell steal. A little bit of an edge.
Pure calls in some reinforcements for another Tormentor.
Of course, doesn't want to take the one-on-one.
Understandable.
There's also a lot of Force Staffs on this Tundra side you have to think about. You have double Force Staff on the two supports, and you have a Force Staff on TAPSON. There's a lot of bailout potential, getting heroes out of the Wukong, out of the control.
It's going to be really good. They know they just hit the Tormentor, but Ame, he goes in pretty deep, breaks that smoke. They're deciding whether to... he hopped away for the Burrow Strike just in time.
Back in.
Now he hops back in with the BKB, commits that Wukong's command, and now let's see if the Lone Druid can stand toe-to-toe. It gets the Force Staff outside of the Wukong's command, but the bear does die. Meanwhile, XXS getting peppered by Saksa. A Stolen Boundless Strike will stop him getting through the gate, and Saksa does the damage. Now XM, he's not sure quite what to do. The hook shot's going to stop any movement from him. An Ice Path goes out, tries to go for the kill on Ramsey's, hoping beyond hope that he can get that damage done, but it will not happen. DY will follow the rest of his team into the grave. Ame is the only survivor. Nobody dies on the side of Tundra.
They all end on Pure, and it was not enough. They didn't have some of the extra spells from the Nyx, who got caught up on the side. Despite dodging the initial initiation on the Monkey King, they output 13,000 damage, and they don't kill a hero. The Lone Druid will completely laugh it off as Tundra say, we're not going to wait for Roshan, we're going to push your base. Just too much sustain. Not enough single target burst damage. Ame needs more damage. It was a very disjointed fight. Supports did not get to do a lot, and now
Extreme Gaming are getting picked off before they can actually get their full 5-man. What a heads-up move. Whitemon, Ramsey, somebody spotted him somewhere in that trees, makes that guess, and now instead of waiting for the Viper in 10 seconds, they will have to wait another 40 to be able to have the Nyx Assassin, time that Extreme Gaming might not have. As one full lane of barracks goes down, they can turn their heads towards that mid-melee racks as well if they want, or they could back up for Roshan. Roshan is going to spawn a bit late here, but Tundra should still have control of the pit.
Go into base, refill all the resources, make sure you have everything up for this fight. That was also a fight where TAPSON got to live for the entire duration, and he didn't get crazy spells that he wanted, but he got a couple Boundless Strikes off. He got Viper Strike at the end. Those are the two he's holding on to. Again, that's like the easiest target for you to bring down if you're XG. They just pumped everything into the worst thing, which is that bear who lives. If you have Vessel on him, maybe that looks different. But it feels like you have to go on who Jinkyu goes on, and Tundra know it. They're just letting the bear and the Sand King front line. Even Enchantress is not an easy target. You have to pick your poison here. Roshan is respawned. See if Tundra just commit straight into the pit, try and do it. I think they absolutely can. This is a potentially game-ending Aegis here.
Really interesting. If Tundra do not commit to doing this, then it will switch over to the other side, which Extreme Gaming would be very well positioned. They have a high ground ward on that gate. They have heroes already set up. The lanes are pushing in. Tundra sees some of those heroes. They see the Monkey King, the biggest threat.
You have to do Roshir if you're Tundra.
They're going straight to it, which means they should be able to have it. Extreme Gaming have no response to this move.
No contest. The only saving grace here is you're going to get to your Butterfly on Ame, but that might be the last item you get here before you have to fight for your lives in a high ground defense situation. Now, in theory, that can be a tough fight for Tundra, but Lone Druid is one of the best base breakers in Dota.
Yeah.
And he just finished a full Assault Kuros. They're just going to 5-man gate into Ame.
Ame
says,
Ame's going to go throw the Wukong's command. They immediately hit get the impale, and Pure, oh, he got the fear, almost pushed Ame out of it, but the Wukong's command stays alive. Can the damage stay up, though? The clockwork goes down. How did Pure manage to get out of here?
What?
He's making a run for it, throws out the Gleipnirs, the stuns are after him. Ame hops on top, stun, where's the stuns? They didn't have it. They go for the bear instead, but they needed that kill on Pure. They needed it to turn the game around.
This hero, sometimes it just does not make any sense. 11,000 damage done by XG and Pure. He just walks it off, man. Gates right into a Wukong, says no problem. If you're XG at this point, like, are you starting to question your own reality? Like, what does it take to bring this Lone Drew down?
Yep.
I think you need all 5 heroes hitting him.
Yeah.
Unless you find him, you know, outside the true form, which has just not been the case for most of this game.
Yeah, I mean, they need some BKB piercing disables to be able to catch him. I mean, they got the perfect opportunity here.
Yeah, they got him to under 250 before the true form, and then he walks it off.
And he just runs away. Pops his BKB, TP's out. I mean, come on.
I think that was another BKB to hero switch, by the way. You got to remember, this Lone Drew only has 3 item slots on his main hero. Pure's been switching them around the whole game.
Yeah. Right now.
Very clutch plays on the itemization slotting from Pure here as he shows off the mechanical ability. XG, they do break down some of that lead, however, and kind of waste a little bit of this Aegis period. By the way, that Aegis went to the Rubik. An interesting choice here, not a high ground breaking Aegis in any capacity. Yes. But I guess if the Lone Drew can't die, I mean, he doesn't need it. He wants his slots on the hero.
Certainly put that to the test in that gate play.
Oh, yeah.
Extreme Gaming. They couldn't do it there. Perhaps a high ground hold is where it's going to happen.
And I will say maybe the biggest talent in this game for changing situations like that would be the Monkey King 25. You can get an extra ring on this Wukong. Suddenly when you disperse or run out of it, maybe you just die. Maybe Ame doesn't get feared out of it. He is basically 1 level off of this Monkey 25. Finished the Butterfly, looking towards an Ags. Has buyback and 300 gold if he wants to hold it up. Feels like so much of this game revolves around the Monkey King, and can he do the damage? Can he find the opening? Can Tundra break XG before this goes ultra late?
A level 25 on Ame would certainly make a huge difference. I mean, they're having the hard time keeping these heroes inside the Wukong's command because they don't have any BKB piercing stuns, right? They just pop BKBs, walk out of it. A bigger ring would go a long ways.
I mean, they have 4 staffs and dispersers, but it's not as good as just being able to push the monkey out or get out yourself.
Yeah.
Ame skirting around this bottom lane. Looking for some camps, but we'll find nothing here as this game has evened out a bit more.
Hook shot across, Whitemon hits his mark thanks to a deep lane ward. DY's life is forfeit. 50 seconds timer for him. The bear goes up to the high ground and is immediately met by staunch resistance. That's a big pit.
That is a very big pit. TAPSON happy with the spells he's got right now. Pick up one more easily.
XH's got to feel a little impotent. Much smaller circle from him, but I guess it's enough. The bear is not able to take down that building, and they will be able to wait out there. Jakiro coming back into play. Tundra Pure uses BKB for that. Get his bear out of there, I assume. So that actually is enough cooldown that Extreme can farm a bit more. Maybe we'll see some of those key items.
And they're pushing towards this Monkey 25. The biggest thing. The more the Viper can scale, the better too. I mean, we saw the high ground's difficult. You can't just siege with the bear versus the Viper unless you jump the Viper, which there's some potential there for Tundra, but it would kind of require Ramses committing in. He is also closing in on level 25 on the Sand King. Really big talent in terms of the damage output here. This is a scary hero with 6 slots. Maybe a scary late game for both teams in a lot of ways. A lot of pressure on Jin Q for this XG lineup to find initiations with the Impale, because that is their best way to start a fight. Like you said, no BKB piercing ability means your initial stuns are vital to your teamfight success. Tundra continue to try and just propose frontliners that you can't go on here. Soxa will pick up a Moon Shard on Enchantress, level 20 of his own.
I mean, he pumped out the most damage in that last team fight. This next one, Oh, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they have so many threats. They try to deal with the bear, see if they can kill the lone druid quickly, deal with TAPSON, whose Aegis has expired. Saksa probably just goes unnoticed by Extreme Gaming in these fights, and those impetuses do build up.
I think they will notice him at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he is the true 3 in this lineup as this Rubik. He's going to be very annoying on the spell power, but damage-wise, this Enchantress is going to do a lot. And at some point, you're going to have to focus him down. I mean, you would love to be able to fight Viper, strike, and break him, but...
Probably not going to happen. Yeah. That Viper is closing in on a Scotty, so his physical threat really starts ramping up. As he's going to be tankier, his just right clicks are going to be even more debilitating for this poor bear. It feels like almost Tundra have to wait for another Roshan and wait for a pickoff. Like, Extreme Gaming is not just going to sit inside their base the entire time. They need to keep finding more and more items and more farm.
I was about to say, are they? Because they have been sitting here for a while. That lead was down to 9K. They've given up 5K during this period. The Aegis is out. In theory, you're not waiting for anything to expire here. You're just waiting. I mean, are you actually waiting for Ame level 25? He bought out for the Ags, by the way, has his shard as well. This is a Monkey King with no buyback, trying to get to that talent. The Scotty done for the Viper, another big point here, almost 4K HP on XM. And you got your Underlord BKB. I mean, this is as good as it's going to get for XG for a long time, unless you can win a team fight.
Do you feel like this is a point where they have to contest Roshan, have to smoke up, or do they keep relying on their high ground defense?
To catch 22, that high ground defense is strong for the Viper, but the Roshan fight is very strong for the Monkey King with that level 25 talent, which Ame should have for it. It's kind of which type of team fight do you believe in more at this point? Do you believe you can win this game if you do not claim a Roshan at some point as well?
Okay, they got the 25, instantly smoke up.
They were waiting for it. I mean, they gave up a lot to get there. Like, this was not a free talent by any means, but it is an insanely powerful one in this game. Still, you have to land the Monkey King Wukong's command here. If you blow this spell or Tundra kite it out, it feels like the team fight's over.
The smoke might just stumble into another smoke from Tundra as they collect all 5 of their heroes.
Baiting the Viper.
Baiting the Viper. Will this be any good for them? Tundra sneaking around the side here, but Extreme holding the hard left-hand side of the map, playing on that high ground.
Tundra can be the ones more patient here because the creeps are pushing in. In fact, they're setting up on Ame.
Ame, this could be dangerous. Oh, he quickly bound the strikes and away into the trees before Ramses pulls the trigger on that blink stun.
They see the auras potentially on the creeps.
Yeah.
Smoke will pop. That was almost an insanely sick read from Tundra. If they had caught that Monkey King on that wave, that's just game over. He still has no buyback for 650 gold.
What a big ability to steal Firestorm. So dangerous in these fights with...
Sorry. Bakit natuplok? Ayan. Ay. Nako, sorry. Natuplok. Sorry. Ayan.
A back out, time to do Tormentor, they say.
Another 1v1, no?
This is going to be another time where Extreme are smoked. See the pop-up there that the Dire did the Tormentor.
There's a big
So
shield
they
rune.
know where they're at.
Give it to Ame. This is a really big rune if they can get a fight out of it. But Tundra should be looking at the lanes right now. They know this is coming.
And Ame, he feels strong with his shield room, but he is going to be walking to Tundra heroes. They immediately jump for Ramses, and what a Wukong's command, hitting all 5 of these heroes. Tundra on the run, caught in the pit though. Here, his hero is going to make it out. His bear will not. And XM holding first step forward, pops BKB, putting damage on the TAPSON, It's going to be enough. Can he get away though? Ramsey with a buyback now, pops Bloodstone epicenter. XM, his BKB is only going to last for so long. And Shinku, he's going to get diced up. Here he's big and he's bad and he's a deadly bear that is going hero after hero. An immediate buyback. Ame is going to buy back, but what about the Underlord? What about DY who's left behind on the Jakiro? They won't have all their heroes They take the fight, they get some kills, they get some buybacks, but ultimately that 27,000 net worth lead is beginning to show its face.
Another fight where you look at the damage numbers and the kills just don't reflect it. Tundra soak it all up there. They're happy to lose their Rubik and a clock to win that exchange. They get the monkey buy, they get the Nyx buy, they get everybody on the side of XG. There's just not enough damage to punch through. Even with a Wukong on basically everybody in a sick boundless strike, all you get is the bear. Pure still stands strong, 11-1 and 13 on this lone druid. He has been untouchable in this series, and he wants to eliminate the last Chinese team in this TI.
Extreme. Are they going to just give up on Megas, or are they going to try and make this hold? Ame, BKB in 10 seconds. Wukong's command is up. Hey, Tundra are going to call it quits here and go back for Roche.
This game is starting to slip away, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's just not much more you can build to overcome the biggest problem in this game, which has been how do you kill these heroes? And Tundra are going to add an Aegis to that list, and Ags on the Roche as well.
If you are having a hard time keeping these heroes inside of the Wukong's command, doing the damage fast enough to kill them, what does it mean when you have to play against another life on one of these cores? A gate straight to it. They cannot afford to give up this Aegis, but no one's actually going through the gate right now. Tundra. Ame sitting up in the back, jumps through the trees. Wukong's command dead center is Pure, and he's already been hit by some stuns. They are all in to kill the lone druid, but Pure got his BKB up. They got a bear kill. Now they have to commit for the Roshan. Ame for it, but Ramses with the hit. White gets the hook, and Ramses takes the Aegis. Denied Ame his chance at immortality. It is ripped away from him, and Tundra stomp Extreme into the ground.
They got basically everything out of that they wanted. Aegis on the Sand King, an absolute gem. And Ame out for 110 seconds here. No buyback on the Monkey King. All up to XM and Jin-Q. And it is another fight where you all in the lone druid and you were not even close.
The same team fights going the same ways, running over the same ground, surrounded by the same old fears. Another year of unrealized potential, another tournament of broken dreams. Maybe he can save it, but a force tap in. It gets in. XM killed. No defense. Ame, XM, both out. No damage in the tank left for Extreme. The best they could do is get a Sand King who had an Aegis anyway. They've killed him twice, but thrice he'll revive. Thrice will come back into this team fight to end the game. The throne is exposed, and Tundra will lay claim to a top 4 at the International.
And they will eliminate the last team trying to fight against this European cabal, for lack of a better word. They have just reigned supreme for what feels like the last 2 years, and here it comes again to another European DBC showdown in many ways as Tundra eliminate the Chinese hopes at TI 13. Not the way I think XG wanted to go out of this tournament. They had so much potential, such high hopes. A top 6 is not going to feel good enough for this team. We saw glimpses of what they could do in these team fights, but ultimately, Tundra just came ready today to play the meta, play the push heroes, play the sustain, and I mean, that Pure Lone Druid, that is the absolute stuff of nightmares. That is a hero-player combination that is going to be haunting Ame decades from now.
Yeah, I think all of these teams are going to be looking at that Lone Druid in Tundra, in Tundra's hand, in Pure's hands, and questioning whether or not they want to give that up. Through that Lone Druid, they keep something alive that few have achieved before, the 2-time for Saksa, and something nobody else has laid claim to before, the 3-time for TAPSON. The dreams are still alive for some here at the International. One more time, we'll say goodbye to Extreme Gaming, who were the great hopes for China to be able to have a top performance at TI, but it seems that this region has struggled when it comes to the last few internationals, and they will gracefully exit out at the 5th, 6th place. Meanwhile, though, Tundra are moving on, and we can move to the main stage with an interview.
Thank you very much, Kiat. Yes, I am here with Ramses from Tundra. I mean, top 4 at the International. How does that feel?
No more curses.
No more curses, absolutely not. You break it, you get there. I mean, this is the first for you, right? I mean, with this team as well, Are you feeling good?
Yeah, feel good. I enjoy to be here, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the crowd's behind you as well. That's nice to see. So, who on your team do you put this win down to? You know, who do you feel like performed really, really well here?
Today, Pure play super amazing on the laundry. Yeah, I think Pure is the best.
You think Pure is the best? I think a lot of people would agree with you, but you yourself had some fantastic moments in this game as well. How did it feel at the end there on that Sand King, jumping into the Roshan, getting the Aegis, and basically securing your team the game with the rumble of the crowd? How was that?
I think this moment, if even they have Aegis and I just jump after, it's not gonna many changes. We're gonna win anyway. But they have last try, you know. That's it.
That's it indeed. Well, I mean, you've been playing on this team for about 5 months now. Saxa comes in as well. How are you finding the connection between each other to play this well and make it this far at the International?
I don't know what to say. Saxa is super good player. We not much practice have with him, but we just enjoy the tournament and just we'll see what's gonna happen. Maybe we can win. Who knows?
Maybe. Ramses, thank you very, very much for this performance. Congratulations on your top 4 finish. Well done, and we'll send it back to the panel.
Thank you very much, Nomad and Ramses. And yes, for Ramses and for Pure and for Whitemon, this is the first time they got as far as they did here today at the International. Saxa and TAPSON obviously have taken the championship in the past, TAPSON twice. We'll see how far they can come this time around, but 4th guaranteed here already is quite the milestone, and they get the chance to do the same thing that they did to Falcons again. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I want to break this game down the cost because we thought maybe there was a chance for Extreme to push this to a 3rd game. It did not happen.
It really didn't. Every single team fight pretty much went the same way, where they're using Wukong's command. Ahmed's damage, 47,000 damage in this game. It was pretty much insane. They lacked a little bit more because they're playing around Pure. Pure did die only 1 time in this game, surviving so many times on like 200 HP. He gets the true form off. I love Tundra's teamfight execution. They understand how to fight against each other, how to reset multiple times, which we've seen that it needs to be done against some of these big teamfight ultis. And this Disperser again, coming out from Pure, he knows what's up. Gives you speed, gives everybody speed, they run away. A couple of 4 staffs, beautiful stuff.
Beautiful stuff. We saw Extreme trying to make the plays, trying to make the moves, and at the end of the day for them, it was not enough. Before we continue breaking down the game and the series, we're first going to hear some words from Xingqiu with Period.
Yeah, thanks, Sheebs. I am here with Xingqiu. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Just quickly, what went wrong in that series for your team?
我们都很支持你，很遗憾离开了比赛，想问一下，那个上一场大概出了什么问题呢？
就是我自己有几波比较太深入的那种进攻吧，然后导致我们的中期节奏出了一些问题。
There were several times when I went way too deep and way too offensive, and it went wrong.
Okay, well, another question is to say, would you say that the top 6 finish that you got at this TI met your expectations ahead of the tournament?
虽然很不如意，但是前6这个成绩在你们预期之中吗？
算在吧。
Sure, considerably.
Okay, nice. And obviously, I think this team has showed a huge amount of promise. What are your guys' plans for next season?
其实你们队伍都很有潜力的，就下一个赛季有没有什么展望可以跟我们分享一下呢？
希望成绩会更好吧。
We hope for better results.
Fair enough and fantastic. I know there are a lot of XG fans here in the arena. Is there anything that you'd like to say to them?
现场有很多你们 XG 的粉丝，也有很多你的粉丝，有没有什么想跟他们说的？
就非常感谢大家大老远过来看比赛吧，然后也很热情。
Thank you all for coming from all over the world, and you guys are super passionate.
Well, I think we all agree with that statement, so thank you, Xingqiu. Can we give a big round of applause for Xingqiu and Extreme Gaming?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is always brutal to see that side of the competition as well, but someone has to fall for another team to advance, and that is what happened here. And this second game that we just watched of the series, I think T-Gov, it did showcase how strong Extreme can be, because we did see some great fights and movements by them.
No, yeah, we did, 100%. They looked good in some moments, specifically the game 2. I think that was, what we wanted to see from them. But you can't really blame Extreme too much. I think this game or series win is all on Tundra. The fact that they looked at Lone Druid, Game Gladiators, the only other team to play Lone Druid in the tournament so far 2 times, one in the group stage, one at the International. And then out of nowhere, you know what, Pure, you want to play Lone Druid? He's also only played 12, this is actually I think his 13th pro Lone Druid game. He had a 41% win rate on the heroes. He was atrocious compared to all his other heroes. Like, Lone Druid is just not his thing based on the stats. He comes in today though, and he just slaughters them. He just sends them home. It's like, this game as well, he's top net worth the entire time. Like, it was a spectacular showing from Pure on the Lone Druid, and you can't really prep for it. They've not played it, they've not practiced it, and suddenly it's just here.
Yeah, they were completely unprepared for that, and it showed. We didn't see the level of confidence that we've been seeing for the last 2 series that XG played. None of their, signature Muertas coming out, their own takes through the safe lane. We did see Faceless Void, but it also felt quite reactive instead of them coming into it with an idea. But, I mean, Tundra, they just came to play. They were a completely different level than we saw them yesterday. Every single one on this team did an incredible job, and it wasn't just Pure on that Lone Druid. From the mid lane, from both supports, from Ramses on that Sand King. You heard him in the interview. He said, I think Pure played the best. I think Sand King was one of the biggest reasons why they won that game. Ramses on that Sand King was so dependable. He did the most hero damage in his game, and once that net worth started to equalize for XG and Tundra, he just, farmed up, got a blink pick off on the Monkey King. He went through the gate that Underlord placed for Monkey King, getting more triangle kills with his team, and he really set the tempo for them.
All eyes on Rubik in every single fight. They're like, TAPSON, he's gonna steal the big spells, which he did throughout the whole game, stealing the Firestorm, the Pit of Malice, everything from Jakiro. He got to the Aghanim Scepter, so he's gonna steal 2 of those. And then Saksa, he has a pretty free entry to a fight. Nobody's touching his hero. In a lot of these post-fight recaps, we've seen that he dealt the most damage in these later fights.
It felt like this draft from Tundra had the kind of the elements of Falcons to some degree, where if you finally get through the tanky frontline core, that's the Lone Druid, then you have to deal with like another big core whilst the supports are pulling out artillery. And I say supports, Rubik's net worth did fall behind the Enchantress, and he basically was playing like a greedy 4 rather than like a mid lane, but it didn't really matter in this game because there was such a formidable like double front line to get through that you can just pump out the damage, and you don't really need to scale too crazily. Just have the levels and you're going to be fine. So Ench is insanely strong. Lone Druid as well for the future of this bracket. If Gaming or Tundra in a series, Lone Druid's going to have to be considered.
And like we saw in that highlight just now, Enchantress was a machine gun later in the game. The beauty of Enchantress in this patch is that she gives you pure damage through her Impetus, and she was melting the Underlord on XXS like he was nothing. And that happened fight after